I mean myself and Chase Oliver. Chase, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, John. It's going to be a fun week. Some really good matchups. Can't wait to talk about Week 11.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good matchups, and it's kind of fun because we've kind of I think we've correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've gotten all of the international games out of the way.
Oh
We're going
yeah.
to be able to focus on just stateside stuff. People aren't going to wake up early anymore. But to the fans of football in Europe, we appreciate all of the loud, like, I gotta say, like, and partially it's because every time you see one of those games, there's always the talk of, well, this is the reason why the NFL should go over there. But part of why they're so loud is because they don't get so many games.
Yeah.
But we finished with the international series. We're getting that push towards the playoffs for a lot of teams. Some of the divisions are becoming closer. Some of them are becoming farther. That's just the way that this goes. But one thing that we can say is that we are getting closer and closer to getting where we need to be. I think when it comes to these predictions, because last week you and I were pretty much in lockstep. I think we
Yeah.
picked all the same games, and we went 9-4. The only ones that we missed out on were the Giants losing to the Panthers, which was ridiculous. The
Such a
Falcons
stupid
losing
team.
that stunner to the Saints, because I was, we accounted for the whole interim head coach bounce. Like, we accounted for that, but our process was Kirk Cousins and this Falcons offense. It's got too much high power. There are too many people missing from the Saints, but the Saints, pulled something out. It's one of those vintage, and you and I know this very well. It's one of those vintage. Usually, it's later in the season.
Yeah.
Derek Carr games where he does very well, and then people go, maybe he's turning a quarter. Let's keep him as a quarterback for next year, and it's how he keeps the job. The Commanders Steelers, that one was
Close.
kind of it was a barn burner towards the end. They were really going punch for punch, and
Good
then
game.
Monday Night Football, Miami out of not I wouldn't say out of nowhere, because they have been bouncing back with Tua, but the
Yeah.
idea that they could win against a team of the Rams caliber, and the Rams have taken some hits. But my takeaway from that one, and let me know if you agree with me, was that the Miami defense, while they have looked decent when Tua wasn't there, but they didn't get a lot of complimentary help from the offensive side of things. With Tua, the Miami defense looks revitalized.
Oh yeah.
They look
It's
like they're
it's a
they're
really good defense.
yeah. So it was a fun one from the perspective of, if you needed, because that was a game that had a lot of fantasy implications for people, between Kyron
Yeah.
Williams, Puka Nakua, Cooper Cup, Devon A. Chan, and the Tyreek Hills of the world. I mean, maybe if you are in a deeper league, you were starting Stafford and Tua, or if you were in a 2 QB league, maybe you were. But man, that probably flipped a couple games. I know, because for me, I had I was playing against somebody where he had the Texans defense, and I
Oh.
and I'm just sitting there watching. I'm like, is Goff really going to throw another interception? Another interception, and he ends that
Yeah.
game. He ends that game up by, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5. But I had Puka Nakua, so I was like, all right, all I need is Puka Nakua to catch like 3 passes. Like, don't get into a fight this week, buddy, and
Yeah.
and and everything's fine. And lo and behold, Puka has 9 catches for 98 yards. So it all worked out. But what we're gonna try to see is if we can work out the Week 11 slate. And the Week 11 slate is got some fun matchups. Definitely some fun matchups. We've got Arizona Cardinals on bye, the Carolina Panthers on bye. Thank God they're not going to be able to to lose a game. The Giants also on bye. Also, thank God they're not
Oh
going to be
wow.
able to lose a game. And Tampa Bay on bye, which, if you're Tampa Bay, you're really not where you want it to be. But taking into account the injuries that you've had, you're kind of where you could be, because you watched the Falcons drop a game, and you're thinking to yourself, if we get Mike Evans back, we use this bye week nice right to get healthy, we can potentially try to steal this division. That's in play there. So if you're Tampa Bay, it's a good time to have a bye week. But let's talk about our first game of the slate, and that's on this Thursday, tomorrow, as we come to you live on Wednesday night, taking into account the FanDuel money line odds as they currently stand on Wednesday. Eagles and Commanders. And this is a story of two teams, because the Eagles really did have high expectations. And you could make an argument that the reason why the Eagles have not been able to reach those expectations is shooting themselves in their own foot. Like, they're really there's just some of the decision making that's going on there with Nick Sirianni. However, the thought process was, okay, well, even if we don't do as well, we just have to hope that the Cowboys aren't going to do that well. And then we should be in the mix for control of the division. The Cowboys said, hey, we'll hold up that end of the bargain. We're not going to do good. We're not going to do well at all this season. And so if you're the Eagles, you're thinking, okay, well, maybe we've got this we've got this season kind of in the bag when it comes to control of the division. But on the flip side, and this is why it's a tale of two teams, you've got the Washington Commanders, who said, no, we've got this Jaden Daniels kid, and what we're going to do is really good decision making. We are going to sit him when he needs to be sat. We are going to run the ball as best as we can to give him an advantage. We are going to pair him up with one of the most reliable receivers and underrated receivers in the game, who has been putting up great numbers over the years with terrible quarterbacks in Terry McLaurin. And we're just going to see what happens. And we're going to pair this. We're going to make this pairing work. We're going to scheme things up as best as we can. And now the Commanders are 7-3. The Eagles are 7-2. And this is a battle for control of the division. The question here is, who's going to take the division? Because if the Eagles lose this game, Commanders have the win over them. You got to give this one the control goes to the Commanders. But if the Commanders lose this game at 7-4 to the Eagles 8-2, it's a little bit harder to dig yourself out of. Now, on the plus side for both of these teams, the NFC from the wild card perspective at least is wide open. Like, that part, you can make an argument. There are many teams that could get into it as a wild card spot. And if you've got 7 wins, you just need to stack a couple more and maybe get to 10, and you could probably get one of those 3 wild card spots. This one is a fun one for me to pick. I'm just going to take the Eagles, and it's a little bit of a risky pick. I can understand that, because, like I said, this team really likes to shoot itself in the foot. However, a part of me believes that the Eagles understand that if we get a lead on this Commanders team, we need to kill the clock, because the one thing we can't do is let Jaden Daniels have the ball and then he just scampers for 20, 30 yards on a run, throws a pass to Terry McLaurin for another 30, 40 yards, and then it's a red zone situation with Zach Ertz. We've got to try to avoid that. And the best way to do that is run the ball. And outside of some guy in Baltimore, the best person you could have to kill a clock is arguably Saquon Barkley. And for me personally, I would put it as Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Saquon Barkley. Like, that's how those are the 3 running backs that I would want in that order. If the game's on the line and I need to kill clock to get the opposing team out of the stadium. It's a home game for the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, this is a really tough Thursday night game. I just hope it's a competitive one. I feel the Commanders in this one. I don't know. I'm still on the Commanders high. I really like what they're doing. I love Kingsbury's offensive scheme that he's been running with the Commanders. I think Dan Quinn, this is one of the reasons why they hired Dan Quinn. Familiarity within the division. He's played against the division so many times when he was the Dallas Cowboys DC. nothing's really changed from the Eagles' offense. Like he's going to be familiar with this offense and be able to attack it defensively. This Commanders defense, yes, it's a bad defense, but they've been playing above the expectations. And I just see this being one of those Philly games, the vintage Philly game, where they look good. It's like, oh, this is why the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender and why they're one of the top teams in the NFC. And all of a sudden in the third quarter, the Commanders scored that touchdown, and then you're just like, it's all right. The Eagles are still up. And then the fourth quarter, Sirianni implodes on himself like he normally does, and it leads to a Commanders stunner against the Eagles. That's how I feel about this game. I don't know. I just really I don't know until I see the Eagles like kick someone's ass to the point. That's a good team, not like a bad team, because you can kick always bad teams' asses. But if they kick the Commanders' ass, then I'll probably be like, okay, the Commanders are coming back down to earth a little bit. I didn't but the fact that there's such surprise, and I like that they're probably pissed off too, because they should have won that game against Pittsburgh, and they played against one of the best defenses, and they played them tough. I feel like they're going to come in and they're going to be more angry than the Eagles, who kind of let's just be honest, was disappointing against a Cooper Rush Cowboys game. Like I had to turn off the tape midway through. I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? This is terrible. They didn't look good at all, and I could see the Eagles coming out looking sloppy, and or getting that big lead like I talk about. But I think the Commanders will win.
That's fair. I mean, the Eagles did the box score looks like it should for a Cooper Rush led Cowboys team, which eventually had to put in Trey Lance. But at the same time, it did not feel as dominant. Like I can understand box scores can tell one story. The watching the game and getting the feel of it can be something else. And I would agree with you. It did not feel dominant from the Eagles' perspective.
Yeah.
I think Hurts only had 206 passing yards. I know that Saquon had 66 rushing. So you'd think, if you're going to beat up on a team 34-6, then that should, be the case. But where the numbers are higher, I mean, Kenneth Gainwell did get some play in there, but still, the part of me that is just looking at it, and I keep thinking back to the Bengals game against the Commanders. And what I look at there is Jamar Chase being able to run rampant on the field. And if I remember right, they didn't have T. Higgins. But in this situation, I know Devonta Smith is questionable, but I believe he's supposed to be playing. And if he is, then to me, you've got Devonta and AJ Brown. It's too much of a receiving threat. And to the Commanders' credit, their defense has stepped up, but to me, it's just too much. Like there's too much there, and I think that is a a great segue to this next one, which I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on. But I will say this: if you were thinking that the Jaguars were really had a chance, I would like everyone to know that Tank Bigsby was not seen at practice, and they have already ruled out Trevor Lawrence. So it's going to be another Mac Jones game. And I think that's really all we need to know for this one. I think I feel confident for the Lions.
I mean, the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL, had a great comeback win over the Texans. It shows the toughness that they have. The Jaguars, I'm sorry, like Mac Jones, he stinks. Like, and they play, and
Bama quarterbacks, am I right?
Huh?
Bama quarterbacks, am I right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, no, not all of them. All right, Jalen Milroe will break that trend. It's okay. Tua's doing good. What's wrong with Tua? He's looking good.
I mean,
but the Jaguars they play tough. But it's one of those games you played tough against one of the top teams in the NFC. You felt good about yourself, but then you lost. That kills momentum. That kills the locker room spirit. Like it's like one of those where it's like, what do we have to do to win a fucking game here? Like, yeah, I know the Jaguars have wins, but it's like when you play one of the top NFC teams, and like for the most part, you were controlling that game. The Vikings did not look like what we've been seeing out of the Vikings at all this whole season. You were controlling that game with your backup quarterback, and then you ended up losing it. Your defense makes another big mistake. All that money paid to that defense to do jack shit all for you guys. Yeah, whatever. Detroit's really good. Like that game against the Texans was so sick too. It was such a sick game.
But that leads us from a Thursday night divisional round game to a Sunday divisional round game. It's one of the most storied rivalries, arguably the most storied rivalry in the history of the National Football League. These are two teams that meet each other 2 times a year. It's the Bears and it's the Packers. And it's the Bears hosting the Packers. And the Bears, my goodness, I don't really know what could be said. If you are Caleb Williams and you are Eberflus and you're Shane Waldron, which, I mean, Shane Waldron no longer has a job because the offensive coordinator for the Bears got fired. But if you are or were those 3 people coming out of that game, you got to sit there and think, Caleb just lost to the number 2 overall pick in Jaden Daniels. Granted, Hail Mary, Hail Maryland, you want to say it was a fluke, whatever. But then he lost to the number 3 overall pick in Drake May, and that definitely was not a fluke. The Bears looked absolutely terrible.
We predicted this. We said this. We said this.
Listen,
we were like, why are the Bears favored? Like, it made no sense. The Patriots play tough. We didn't understand. Bet it, we were like,
and just think, the Patriots plus 225.
Yeah, I put them. I literally put. Yeah, I literally put money on the Patriots. When I saw it was plus 225, I put $100 on the Patriots because I said, no way, I don't trust this Bears team. And lo and behold, while I was working, I checked my ESPN, and I was expecting to be pissed, being like, damn it, I guess the odds makers were right. And when I saw the score was like 20-3, I was like, what the fuck is Chicago doing? You're just letting the fucking Patriots bully? Like Eberflus sucks so bad. He let Gerard Mayo outcoach him. Gerard Mayo, I don't even think he understands he's a coach yet. And like he's still at that I'm a former player phase as a coach. Like he's not D'Amico. Like Gerard Mayo, I don't even know if he had any coordinator experience. Like they were like Robert Kraft.
I don't think he does.
He's like,
I don't think he does.
Robert Kraft was just like, I liked him as a player. He visited my office to talk to me all the time and stuff. Like maybe he was like a consultant on the Patriots staff or something, or a linebackers coach or something like that. But like as a top coordinator, I don't even think he was a top coordinator at all. He
was the inside linebackers coach for the Patriots from 2019 to 2023. So he's got about 4 years of kind of coaching experience.
Yeah, just one position. He wasn't controlling the whole defense.
I'm agreeing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Eberflus is like an accomplished. Like, look, Eberflus sucks as a head coach. He's a really good D coordinator. Like, when he gets fired, watch. Eberflus is going to go to a team. People are going to be like, oh, the Bears coach. It's like Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley sucked as a head coach, but then now he's like one of the best D coordinators in the league, and he always finds a job and makes the defense good. Whatever. But yeah, no, like this rivalry game, is it really a rivalry? The Packers always kick the Bears' asses. Like there's no rivalry. It's like the Bears fans, they make up this rivalry in their head. They're just like, yeah,
I mean, one thing that's going for the Bears is that Josh Jacobs does have a quadricep injury. He is questionable. So far, he's had a limited practice, but I mean, we still got the rest of the week. So we still got Thursday, Friday, see how he feels after Saturday. But if you're the Bears, you're looking at it going, this defense is really good, and we still don't know for certain whether we're going to be having Braxton Jones, whether we're going to be having Darnell Wright. They both were limited participations in practice, but we've also potentially going to be without Montez Sweat, and we could also potentially be without Jaquan Brisker. So, I mean, Brisker did not participate at all, and Montez Sweat did not participate at all. And neither of those guys are at veteran rest day levels. So, it's a question. That's going to be an issue because this Bears defense has been really what has kept them in games. Like part of the reason why I was going to say Maryland, but part of the reason why the Commanders needed that Hail Mary was because that game was so close. And it's a classic, as all these years, it's a classic case of the Denver Broncos where the defense has always just done enough to keep the offense in games, and the offense has continually let the defense down. And now we're seeing that play out in Chicago right now, where the defense has been doing very well. But if you can't stay on the field, if the offense can't stay on the field and can't convert first downs, then this defense is going to get tired. Packers, though, even without Josh Jacobs, you don't know which wide receiver is going to be the guy. Obviously, Jaden Reed's going to get his, but could it be Christian Watson? Could it be Dobbs? Could it be Dontavian Wicks? You really don't know. Tucker Kraft is also in the mix. And Jordan Love is great at distributing the ball to multiple receivers. So this could be, I don't want to say nightmarish situation for the Bears, but it could really not be a good game. And if you are Caleb Williams and you do that text to the punter, you're not going to be punting a lot, and this guy is one of the highest punters rated number of punts in the league. But if you go from losing to Jaden Daniels to losing to Drake May, and then you lose in Chicago to the most bitter rival of the Chicago Bears, that's tough. That's going to be a tough thing to bounce back from. Forget the rest of the season, because the season will be lost at that point in time, because not only will you have taken another loss and you're already at the bottom of the division, but it will be a divisional loss. Talk about the year after, because that's now you're putting into question whether you really are the guy. And it sucks, because it sucks that people can make sometimes those split-second decisions on whether or not somebody is or isn't the guy after what we're in week 11 and they've had their bye. So really only 10 games. But this is a league that, one, needs results quickly. And two, you were called the generational prospect. You were called the next Pat Mahomes. You were taken number 1 overall. So it's you got to really do it. And all that being said, I can't take the Bears in good faith.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. You because Jordan Love has had a couple of rough games, but they did have the bye week, so they did kind of rest up a little bit. So hopefully that ankle, because he hasn't looked like himself. He hasn't looked like the Jordan Love of last year. And it's but the Bears, it's one of those situations you can't choose them until you see something from them. As much as you would like to think, okay, they got rid of the offensive coordinator, team drama normally brings the team together. But I don't know in this case. I think it's just lost. Packers, yeah, Eberflus sucks. LaFleur versus Eberflus, come on. LaFleur is a way better head coach than Eberflus. This guy stinks. I lost Jerome Mayo. I can't choose him. Can't.
Moving on from the Bears and the Packers, we leave a divisional game and we go to a conference versus conference. We've got the Rams coming off of a kind of a stinging loss to Miami, because it looked like it felt as though they were in that game for the first half. And in the second half, it just kept getting away from them, because Miami was doing just enough to eat up clock that was forcing Stafford to throw more. And like I was saying, that Miami defense feels revitalized. They were really coming after him. And I don't know for certain if the Rams have any kind of real offensive line issues currently, but I have to assume they do after that game, because they could not protect Stafford. There was just too many pressures, whether it turned into sacks or not. There were too many pressures on Stafford during that game. And now they're going to be facing a Patriots team that does pretty good at getting after the quarterback. We did just kind of malign Gerard Mayo to a certain extent, but he is a defensive mind. That's why they brought him in. That's why they hired him. They elevated him, was because they figured, hey, we've got a strength in the defense. We really don't know what we have on offense. Let's get ourselves a defensive coach that will be able to provide opportunities to Drake May, and we can get him the ball and we can see what we have with him. The Rams, though, it's hard for me to bet against any team that has Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and Kyren Williams. It's just too difficult. And the thing is, Sean McVay is the kind of guy that wants that adversity. He wants the back against the wall feeling. Losing a game to Miami, it kind of feels like it's almost what he wanted on purpose. And it's a situation that for the Rams, you got to think in that division, you're 4-5 now, but the Niners are 5-4 and the Cardinals are 6-4. It's not as though either of those teams have really that strong of a claim on the division itself. And the Rams are 2-1 in the division. The Cardinals are 2-0. So maybe the Cardinals have a stronger claim than the Niners. But you could argue that the NFC West is fairly wide open. You could really even argue that Seattle's got a shot at 4-5, even though they're 0-2 in the division. If you're the Rams, this kind of is a game that you need to win to get back on track, because your schedule, it's not really going to be doing you that many more favors once you get out of this game. Because after this, if you're the Rams, week 12 you got the Eagles, week 14 you've got the Bills. Then you've got the Niners, the Jets, the Cardinals again, and the Seahawks to close out week 18. Yes, week 13, you've got the Saints, and maybe the Saints can be kind of spicy. Who knows? We'll see after this week. But you got to win this game, because upcoming, you've got some killers coming to play. So I'm going to take the Rams in a situation where they know they need to win. I don't know if it's necessarily must win, but I think it's better to get the win and get to 500 than it is to drop a game and be 4-6, even though Arizona's on bye.
The Rams are one of those teams, they just don't travel well. On the Central Standard Time Zone this year, they're 0-2. On the Eastern Standard Time, they're 0-1. I'm going to shock people. I'm choosing the Patriots. I'm feeling this Drake May hype. I think it's just the factor of traveling to the East Coast when most of your success is on the Pacific time zone. I know a lot of people are going to be like, that shouldn't matter. It does matter to a lot of teams. Like it does affect how you play. You're changing your body clock. You're changing your sleep schedule. And it's not like you're going to like a Miami or somewhere or an indoor stadium. You're going to Foxborough, and the weather there, it tells me that it's going to be 68 degrees. But 68 degrees in Foxborough is different than 68 degrees in Los Angeles, California. So it's not the same 68. 68 here, we still have the sun. It's a little bit warm. You can kind of wear a nice thermal out. But over there, it might be a little more chilly. The winds might be a little harsh. And it's just one of those things. I love McVay. I love the Rams. But the problem is, it's like, I think they're just not a good traveling team. And, this is one of those trap games. And I think Drake May, he's been playing a little frisky, and I would love to see a great Drake May breakout game in this one. I think you can do it against this Rams defense. Besides Jared Verse and other edge rusher they have, I forgot his name, but he's like super old, like he's like 26, but he was a rookie last year. Besides those two, it's like the Rams defense hasn't really shown me anything. Kobe Durant has been pretty solid for them, but haven't shown me anything. But I like the Patriots here. I think they could catch the Rams a little bit off their usual time clock, a little bit off schedule, and the Patriots catched him in a stunner.
If you're the Patriots, though, do you want to win this game? The same thing we said last week. The same thing we said last week. Like,
Jerome Mills looking at like defensive tackles and offensive tackles in this draft. He ain't looking at he's not looking at Macmillan. He's like, fuck this guy. I need a big ass D lineman.
The thing is last week, I think they were first pick overall or number 2. I think when we were looking at the draft order. Now they're 6. If they pick up a win here, you could start pushing it to 9 or 10. It'll be interesting to see, especially if you do want to go wide receiver. So
I think for them, especially because this is the Patriots, winning's more important than like draft selection. It's the culture.
That was the old Patriots.
No, it doesn't matter. It's still the Patriot way. That's how it is over there. That's Robert Kraft's standard. Like, we build winners. They want the season ticket holders to be happy because they're such loyal fans over there. Drake May, like, they put Drake May in, and he's looked, minus like, the concussion that he suffered that one game. He's looked really, really well in the league. Not spectacular, no Jaden Daniels level, but for what he's given and what he has to work with, he's played pretty well. And I think you want to just build confidence and excitement as the rest of the weeks go by. And I feel this is a good, confident win for the Patriots here. I think they're going to build off that big Bears win. They're going to take on a Rams who are on a short week, having to travel to the East Coast, mind you. Like
That's
Monday,
true.
Tuesday practice, Wednesday practice, Thursday. Okay, now we have to maybe fly out Thursday night, get there Friday morning, do another run through Saturday, Sunday. So it depends on how they travel. I don't know how the Rams travel, but that would be my guess. So that's why I'm all like, I think the Patriots could catch them here. Maybe the Rams is just like, screw it. We can't beat the AFC East this year. They're too good.
That's fair. That's fair. What was I gonna? Yeah, no. Drake May, third best rookie quarterback so far, for sure.
Second,
But
who's above him? There's no way
you're
we're
not
going
really
to put
asking me that
Bo.
question.
Yeah, no, you're not going to put Bo Nix at
Get
number two.
out
He's
of
number
here.
three
Get
right
out
now.
of here. Get out
Drake
of here.
May. It's Daniels
Get
one,
outta here.
Drake May two,
Get
Bo Nix three.
Oh, will you?
Michael
Will you
Penix four.
stop?
Michael Penix 4.
Oh,
And
this
then Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is
you
the
can
fifth
you can,
best.
you can tell you can tell there's still a Broncos Chargers game on the schedule.
Yeah. I mean, he did look a little bit homey there, Jim.
You were praying for that. You were praying for that block kick. Don't lie to me.
No, I was jumping up in joy because I could not believe you guys were going to beat. I was so happy. I was in the break room.
Dude, I'll watch it. We'll get to that when we get to the
fuck them. You know, I'm saying fuck them, but I put them in every parlay this week. The fact they're underdogs is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
What the Chiefs? Yeah.
They're at +1. What the +1? Do we not learn our lessons?
Hold on.
Just give me this money.
That's a tease. It's the game. It's the game on the background for a reason.
I know, but give me the money. Just give me the fucking money now, Vegas. Like, Jesus.
But before we get there, we got a few more games to run through, and that takes us to down to the Big Easy, down to New Orleans.
Oh God, who's watching
the Browns
this?
are coming to play, and we've got Jameis Winston.
Oh, revenge game for Jameis
off a bye week. And I definitely can kind of understand the Browns mentality, sort of. Because what I'm referring to is there were teams that were calling about David Njoku, and they said we are not dealing David Njoku. And you got to think why? I mean, why not? Like, why not get something back for him? Like, he's 28 years old. He's had an injury that took him out for a season. Like, why wouldn't you? And they said he's factoring into our long-term plans, and that tells me, okay, they think that they've got a roster that can compete next year if they can figure out this QB situation. And part of figuring out that QB situation is the audition of Jameis Winston. And maybe, you have games where DTR is playing as well. Who's going to be maybe not necessarily the long-term quarterback, but the guy who can lead us, if you're the Browns, for the next year, 2 years. Maybe they're thinking to themselves, if we do well enough that we've got a higher draft pick, but not too crazy of a pick, maybe somewhere in the 13-14 range. If we try to trade up and get Arch Manning, but if that's the case, get Njoku out of here, because that's a guy who's going to be able to win you games. You want to try to be a team that's like, there are probably teams that are thinking about, what if we tank for 2027 when Arch Manning comes out of the draft. But if you are going to be auditioning these quarterbacks, because we have seen people like, Darnold is earning himself a contract, right? Like, he is, I mean, granted, this past week, he did not with a 3 interception, 0 touchdown game, but he has earned himself probably a 2 to 3 year contract. One could make an argument. There are plenty of quarterbacks that have turned things around for themselves. Geno Smith is another one that comes to mind, though we are starting to see cracks in the Geno Smith experience. Jameis could be the next to pull something like that off, or they could say we've got DTR under contract for another couple years with this rookie deal. We're going to roll with him and see how this goes. But a great test for either of those quarterbacks is the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have a good defense. it's one of these classic cases now of an offense that not able to help your defense stay off the field and rest up and play complementary football. That being said, the Saints handled business against the Falcons last week, and you could make an argument that the Saints could actually do something once they get Olave fully back, like once he's locked and loaded, ready to go. Maybe they could do something. I don't know if they're necessarily going to do a lot this year, but you could make an argument. This is a game that I think is going to come down to who is going to be able to control the ball better. And a part of me just believes that Nick Chubb has that capability. I don't know if the Saints' strategy of we're going to run the shit out of Alvin Kamara and also throw to Alvin Kamara is really that sustainable. I'm going to go with the Browns because I trust the Browns defense more than I trust the Saints defense when it comes to forcing sacks and forcing turnovers. I mean, turnovers, Jameis is going to at least have an interception. If you got I know it's usually on FanDuel a straight bet, but if you got will Jameis Winston throw an interception, it's going to be negative like 150, 180, but I mean, I would take it. How about you?
Yeah. I love this Saints interim head coach, Darren Rizzo, whatever his name is. He admitted that he clogged the toilet.
I love it.
For no reason. I was just like, this guy reminds me. Do you remember 2021 when Gruden got fired and Rich Bisaccia took over as interim head coach?
Yes.
And led the Raiders to the wild card. I'm not saying Darren Rizzo is doing that, but he's giving me such Rich Bisaccia vibes where I won a lot of money off Rich Bisaccia. So, you know what? I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this clogging the toilet mentality of Darren Rizzo. I think he's going to clog the Browns. I like it.
I like the joke writes itself. The joke writes itself.
Yeah.
The Browns, clog.
Yeah, he's going to clog the toilet again. He's going to beat up on the Browns. I like the Saints in this one. I think the Saints, whatever their line or spread is, I'm going to pound it because I'm going off the Rich Bisaccia effect where I was all like, I like Rich Bisaccia. I like this Darren Rizzo character. I don't know his past. I don't know. I have to do my research on him. But the minute I heard he was like, I'm an open guy. I clogged the toilet before they did. I said, you're my guy. I don't know why, but you're my guy. The player, like, this is the thing with the interim head coach, and the Raiders made this mistake with Pierce. They're good because they're replacing like such a bad situation. So they're a breath of fresh air because you're like, oh wow, we got this interim guy and he understands us and he's for us. But at the end of the day, the interim guy, as much as they would love to become the head coach, and if even players lobby for him, he's not supposed to become the head coach. Ultimately, the player, you're supposed to get them a better person.
I'll give you the Rizzy background starting from 2000 onwards. So 02 to 07, he's Rutgers special teams coordinator. Then 08, he's Rhode Island's head coach. In 09, he is the Dolphins assistant special teams coach. From 2010 to 2016, he's the Dolphins special teams coordinator. Then from 2017 to 2018, he's the Dolphins associate head coach and special teams coordinator. From 2019 to 2021, he's the Saints special teams coordinator. And then from 22 till now, he was the assistant head coach and special teams coordinator for the Saints, and now the interim head coach.
And you know who had that same track record? Rich Bisaccia. I knew I liked this guy. Same track record as my boy Rich Bisaccia. Oh my God, Rich Bisaccia, Charger legend. He was the Chargers special team coordinator and then also assistant head coach of Norv Turner's last year. I wish we kept him. I was all like, why did we get rid of Bisaccia? Our special teams actually look decent. Because remember, the year before we had Bisaccia, the Chargers were number 1 in offense, number 1 in defense, didn't make the playoffs because we were number 32 in special teams. Oh,
you gotta pick what you want to be good at,
Yeah, no, after you told me this special teams coordinator, I was like, this sounds just like Bisaccia. Special teams coordinator, assistant head coach, special teams coordinator. Yeah, I like this guy. I'm gonna win so much money off Darren Rizzi.
We're going from Chase's new favorite head coach or interim head coach to Chase's current favorite lock for coach of the year in Kevin O'Connell. who will be
Oh,
taking his Minnesota Vikings on a plane, heading from Minneapolis down to Nashville, Tennessee, to face Chase's favorite quarterback to watch, Will Levis.
he was
This is this is
John.
this is, Chase, this is like the Chase Bowl almost.
This is my. It's going to be there. If there might be just two screens on my television this Sunday, Red Zone, and then just this game on the early slate. Like Will Levis did it again, where there's one play against the Chargers, threw a beautiful deep ball to Calvin Ridley, and I'm like, why can't he do this all the time? And then afterwards,
That touchdown was immaculate.
yeah. And afterwards, he sucked the rest of the game. He got sacked like 6 times. My favorite play, I don't know what he was doing. He was running, and then he was pointing, and he didn't let the ball go out after pointing. He just got sacked. And I was just like, this guy cannot be serious. Like, Will Levis is like the funniest guy. He makes no sense, but I love it. I love you can get what like Will Levis. If you just made the plays of where he looks really good, you would say to yourself, he has to be a top 10 quarterback. And then there's the rest of the game, and he just sucks. Like, I love the inconsistency. I've never seen a guy like this in my life. Like, I might have to get a Levis jersey when they go on clearance. Like, just grab a Levis jersey and when my kids go like, hey, Dad, why do you have a Will Levis jersey hanging? I'm like, you have to be there. You have to be there because I've never seen this. Like, I've seen bad quarterbacks. I've seen good quarterbacks. I have never seen a good bad quarterback like this where I'm just like, you can be really fucking good. That Calvin Ridley throw was sick. I wasn't even pissed. I wasn't even pissed. Normally I get pissed at throws like that, but it was a good quarterback throw, and I was like, wow. And
no, you know why
we were gonna lose.
That's why you didn't get pissed because you were like, the Titans are still losing this game.
Yeah, I was like, they're still losing, but Jesus, man, that was sick. Like I was afraid that we were gonna be the Will Levis good game. Like we were gonna be the reason why Will Levis broke out and fixed his slump. But no, not the case. Yeah, I think the Vikings should win this game, right?
Yeah,
I mean, turnover. As long as Sam Darnold keeps the ball clean, and just like I don't know what's up with Darnold. I think Darnold's overthinking stuff, but it seems like lately it's like the first few drives for the Vikings, it looks rough. And then once they get Addison involved, once they get Hawk involved, and especially once they start getting Jefferson involved, they look really, really good. It could be a situation that maybe traveling to Jacksonville, maybe the weather there was just something they weren't used to. So it was like, that's why the game was so rough for them. And it could be the same situation with the Titans. Maybe this is another ugly win for the Vikings. But I'm sorry, that the Titans, like, defensively, yes, statistically that defense is good. It's just they're always put in bad field position. They don't do them any.
Right now, they're 12th in rushing yards allowed, but and they're first in passing yards allowed. So like that defense is actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's because that defense, unfortunately, they're always put on short fields. Like the special teams do them no favors. Like at all. Like a lot of their games, if you go back and watch, the Lions game is the perfect example of like, if you look at the Titans defensive stats and you're like, there's no way they always lose. But then later on, when you see that, oh, they're on these short fields, they're always starting on their 40, they're on their at the 50. Like that's a recipe to losing football games. And then teams can mix and match running or passing the ball and stuff. And let's face it, a lot of times, like they have really good corners. They have a good secondary. They contained the Chargers pretty well in that game. They did a good job. It wasn't until later in the game when Herbert really started getting going with the passing. But even then, I think he only finished with 220. Like not it
wasn't
crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't like a huge Herbert game. It was a tough game for the box score will tell you one thing, like, oh yeah, the Chargers beat up on the Titans. But if you watch that game, it was a tough game for the Chargers. And if Sam Darnold makes these mistakes, that will keep the Titans in the game. But the problem is, it's just like the Titans offense.
It wasn't even. I'm looking at it right now. It wasn't even 220. It was 164.
Yeah, so he didn't even have that because he only had a couple big shots. It was the flea flicker to Palmer, and then the touchdown pass to Johnston. Those were the biggest pass plays Herbert had the whole game. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If they can keep Darnold, if they can make Darnold make mistakes, they have a good shot. But then the problem is, you're only gonna get 3-4 good plays out of Will Levis. and then you just have to figure out how he's gonna like do something stupid. So I love this guy.
And the thing is, you know who I feel kind of bad for is the Tony Pollards of the world, because Tony Pollard right now is 11 rushing yards.
He's having a good season too. He's looking good. He's looking like how he was with Dallas a couple years back. Not like last year, but a couple years back when everyone was like, "Yeah, replace Zeke with this guy," and stuff. But yeah, no, it's just the inconsistency of that offense. It's just so inconsistent.
The updated tankathon has the Titans at number 3 taking Cam Ward.
Let's not do that. One more year of Levis. I don't want to buy the clearance jersey now. I don't even care what size it is. I'm not going to wear it. It's just going to get framed, and it's going to be all his lowlights pictured in there.
Imagine if you could imagine how much you could get. Like, but think about it. Once he's done, you could get the autograph jersey for even cheaper. Yeah. If you're going to frame it,
I might have to meet him myself and get him to sign it, and then later on say, "Hey, man, I love mayonnaise."
Yeah, there you go.
And then just have him sign it, say I love mayonnaise, and have him put I love mayo on one of his numbers, and then be good. Yeah, I might meet him. Who knows? But yeah, I'm definitely getting a Will Levis jersey just for the shits, just to frame it, just so that way I could remember. There's certain jerseys I have just to remember the season. Like I have Adrian Peterson jersey, just to remember his MVP season and all that other stuff, and I framed him. I got to get a Will Levis jersey for just this quarterback alone. Like, I've never loved the guy so much.
But moving from what should be, I mean, I get why, it's negative 260 plus 215. To me, it should probably be a little bit closer to the Lions Jaguars. Not as bad, obviously, because the Titans have a good defense, but that's why it's plus 215 and negative 260 is that Titans defense. They're counting, I think Vegas is counting on getting a couple interceptions off of Sam Darnold, who has, shown that the cracks have been appearing in Darnold, but the trust is that KOC can really coach him up and be like, listen, buddy, you've got Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and that other dude over there, that dude, if you just throw the ball properly to any one of those 3 guys, good things will happen. And don't worry, if you look at this, if you look at the defense and you think, oh no, they've diagnosed whatever play call, just swap it out for a run. Aaron Jones will get some yardage. We can figure it out on second down,
yards
or whatever it is. Like there's so many options there for the Vikings. You hate to see a situation where credits where the credit is due. The Lions battled back and won the game. But if you're the Vikings, you hate to see a situation where the season could be slipping away from you when it comes to winning the division. Because like we said before, the NFC is wide open when it comes to those wild card spots. So if you are the Minnesota Vikings of the world at 7-2, you don't want to be in a situation where you got to battle against the loser of Eagles Commanders at the top of this list for one of those wild card spots. And you don't want to be in a situation where you've got the where you've got the Packers also. If they're sitting there at 6-3, you don't want to be in a situation where they could potentially be stealing one of those wild card spots too. You want to make sure it's yours because you've got another date with the Lions coming up. But if you don't win that, Lions win this division. There's really no way around it. But let's turn from a conference versus conference matchup. We're going to go back. We're going to leave conferences out of it. Let's just talk about one division. Let's talk about the AFC North. And it's the Steelers. The Steelers coming off of a huge win for the season itself, not from the actual box score or how the game was. A huge win for the season against the Ravens. And this is another one of those storied rivalries. One might argue it's the biggest rivalry of the AFC North. And if you're a Browns fan or you're a Bengals fan, I'm sure you're like, hey, wait a minute, what about us? And I get it. But these are the 2 coaches with the longest tenures in the division who have faced off how many times and how many great games have we seen because of it. And a lot of people questioned whether Tomlin was making the right move, switching from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. But if you're questioning it now, I don't really know what to tell you, because Russell Wilson has looked good. This is the ring of horsepower Russ that I got to watch last year on the Broncos. And I said it to you last week, where Pickens is a better jump ball 50-50 guy than Cortland Sutton. But what the Steelers are doing well is the rest of the guys are also stepping up to make those catches. That was the problem in Denver. The problem was that Court was able to make those catches, but then you had Jerry Jeudy like just, I don't know, doing cardio, and you had Marvin Mims not really seeing the field, and you didn't really have much in the form of a tight end, because you really just had a blocking tight end in Troutman. And here you have Pat Freiermuth, who is excelling at being a receiving, not necessarily a receiving vertical. I would call him a possession catch tight end. That's really what he's good at. And they are able to move the ball also because Russ is opening up running lanes for the Najee Harrises and the Jalen Warrens of the world. Denver, as much as I may like Javonte Williams, I would not put, even last season, I would not have put Javonte above Najee Harris. And now Najee is looking really good with some of the running lanes that are being opened up. I remember I took as a straight out bet before the season started, Najee Harris over 775 rushing yards. And I want to say he's at 645 right now.
He's like at 600. I have him in a lot of fantasy leagues.
Yeah, that's 650. So like that
Najee Harris always does well at the end stretch for the Steelers. So I was just like, I'm picking him for that reason.
That bet really should hit, because he's just looked great. But on the flip side, you've got a Ravens team, a Ravens offense that is steamrolling, is absolutely steamrolling teams with very little concern for what they're doing to the other teams. The problem is the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense, on the flip side of things, is allowing it's insane. They are allowing the worst passing yardage in the entire league, and it's not even by a close margin. Right now, they are number one at 2,949 passing yards allowed. Number two is Tampa Bay at 2,641. So it's a full 300 yards more than Tampa Bay is allowing. And the question is, well, have either of these teams played the same? No, they have played. Both teams have played 10 games. So it's not even a question of how bad the Ravens defense is. It's, you are not helping this offense at all. Now, to the Ravens defense's credit, they are number 2 in rushing yards allowed. The only team better than them at not allowing rushing yards is the Vikings at 711 rushing yards to the Ravens 730, but the Vikings have only played 9 games. Once they hit 10, I'm sure that the Ravens would then become the best rushing defense in the league. And on the list, all of the other teams in the top 10 have only played 9 games. The Ravens are the only one that have played 10. So they are doing very well at stopping the run. What does that mean for this game? It means we're going to see a lot of Russell Wilson throwing the ball, putting it up in the air and going, hey, George Pickens, I'm going to trust you to catch this. And it may get intercepted. It may get deflected, whatever the case may be. But that ball is going up in the air and it's going to come down, and I need you to catch it. And if you don't catch it, Van Jefferson, I need you to get it. Calvin Austin, I need you to get it. Mike Williams, Chase's boy. Look at that. Look at Mike Williams.
He's free from the darkness. He's no longer with the Jets. He's free.
He escaped the cave, and on his very first pass, he catches it for a touchdown. And what did you see him trolling Aaron Rodgers about it?
Yeah. You put a snake
that was hilarious to me. That was hilarious to me. Yep. Mike Williams was not the problem, apparently.
No.
I'm sure that Keenan Allen wishes it was him who was on the Steelers and not Mike Williams, between the two former Chargers wide receivers. But to me, this game comes down to, can the Steelers defense, which is 4th in rushing yards allowed, 784, very close to the Ravens. Can they stop Derrick Henry? That's really what all of this is, because if you can stop Derrick Henry, you force Lamar to throw, and he's turned into a good thrower. Not a great thrower, but a good thrower. But the Steelers go, hey, have you seen some of our linebackers? Have you seen some of our corners? We can stop the pass. We can stop the pass if we want to. And credit also where credit is due, the Steelers are 17th in passing yards allowed. So they're not the best, but they're also definitely not the worst. I think this game turns into a bit of a shootout, but I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens because I trust them to, if they get a lead, be able to kill the clock. I don't trust the Steelers to be able to do that because of how good the Ravens' run defense is comparatively to the Steelers' run defense. And I don't trust Russell Wilson to not want to throw the ball. And if you can force right now, the Steelers have not faced too many crazy defenses when it comes to their passing game. Like they faced the Commanders, not a great defense. They've stepped up, but not a great defense. They faced the Giants, good defense, but offense is not helping them. And they faced the Jets, good defense, but the offense wasn't helping them. This is a situation where both sides of the ball play well, and Lamar is able to do enough to keep up and help his defense as best as he can. I'm going to go with the Ravens being able to kill the clock against the Steelers. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on everything you said. I wanted to choose the Steelers in this situation, but it's just like Baltimore's on that level where until I see a team like kick their ass, I can't choose against them. Like it's just like one of those where it's like the Bengals had no reason to lose that game against the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar Jackson, keeps proving the doubters wrong. He might become a 3-time MVP. He's finally
this time it'll be earned. This time it'll be earned.
He's finally the MVP favorite. You know who my favorite underdog, though, is for MVP right now? He's a long shot underdog, but I kind of like him right now just because the way his team is playing and the numbers he's putting up. Yeah, it's a quarterback.
Hold on, let me think here. I don't think you would say Goff.
No, after that 5 interceptions, it's done.
Yeah, he shot himself in the foot when it comes to the MVP. I really don't know. I mean, I can think of some questions.
Kyler.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think Kyler has a good shot to be a dark horse. Like Joe Burrow, of course, obviously. I would love Joe Burrow to turn it around.
The problem with Burrow is that like you can get great numbers, but if the team's not winning, they're not going to consider.
Yeah, no. I personally, because I have a big money bet on Burrow preseason to win MVP, so I personally would like Burrow. But I do like Kyler right now. He's at plus 2,000. He has the 5th best odds to win MVP according to different sports books. It's between him and Jaden Daniels. BetMGM has Jaden Daniels having the 5th best odds, but every other sports book has Kyler Murray with the 5th best odds. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. You look at who the Cardinals have to play up next. The Cardinals have a winning record. Lamar, and now, because for whatever reason, the AFC North, maybe this was for the Hard Knocks that's coming up to make it easier to film or something. I don't know. They're all going to be playing against each other like weeks in between. So it's going to be a lot of like AFC North matchups. It's going to be a lot of like similarities and stuff. There's chances where Lamar could have those bad games while Kyler keeps putting up these record-breaking numbers, keep putting up wins. And if the Arizona Cardinals somehow find a way to go like 10-6 or 11-5, which they're on pace to do, I could see a world where Kyler Murray kind of sneaks in. I mean, he's undefeated, John, since Black Ops 3. Undefeated. Maybe Black Ops 3.
What I said on stream when we were watching Sunday Night Football or Monday Night, I think it was Sunday Night Football, where I'm convinced that Gannon told Kyler, it's just like getting kill streaks in Call of Duty, and he convinced Kyler if you win games and you do it quickly, you don't have to answer a lot of dumb questions from the media, and people won't be saying anything on Twitter about you spending the rest of the time playing Call of Duty. Nobody's going to talk shit.
Let me read you the rest of the Cardinals because they're on bye week this week. But let me
Yeah.
read you the rest of their schedule. They have the Seahawks when they come back from bye. They have the Vikings December 1st. Seahawks
okay.
again.
Yeah.
Patriots, Panthers, Rams, and Niners to end the season.
Ooh,
Kyler,
he is a dark horse for MVP.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's look at this. Seahawks, that defense is like hit or miss. He can put up big numbers there.
You know what the problem though is? Whether or not they consider how well the Cardinals are playing because of James Conner versus Kyler Murray.
Well, no, they always give the court because Derrick Henry should be the MVP. Honestly,
No. What I'm saying is, I think that not to say that they would give it to James Conner, but they would discount Kyler Murray because they're saying it's more because of Conner that you're winning versus you, because he's not getting like crazy passing touchdowns. He's getting like a couple here and there, but a lot of it, even some of those touchdowns, are going to James Conner at those passing touchdowns.
Well, he's gained the total yards. Like he's running the ball. He's running really well too. But against the Seahawks, the Vikings, that's like the toughest defense he has to face. But then he faces the Seahawks in like 2 out of 3 weeks. Patriots, and that's at home. And the Cardinals defense is good enough to keep the Patriots. Panthers, that should be an easy win for him. Rams and Niners, I'm telling you, a big Sunday night win over the Niners compared to the freaking Ravens. Like, let's look at the Ravens schedule, because I think the Ravens, they have like a tougher schedule where Lamar could fumble away, because I think the Bills, like the Josh Allen MVP hype, even though he's second in odds, kind of low because his stats aren't there. But you look at the Ravens, they got to go against, so they're going against Steelers. Then they got the Chargers next week on Monday night. Should be a tough game. Eagles, that's a tough game. The Giants, by the way, the only team in the NFC that Lamar has lost to is the New York Football Giants. The Steelers again, the Texans on Christmas Day, and then you end the season with the Browns, and most likely the Ravens. They could be resting their players, so Lamar probably wouldn't have to be putting up the stats against the Browns. Really, to be honest, they're more worried about those Steelers games than they are the Browns games. So that's why I'm saying I think Kyler has a chance to like be a good dark horse bet. If you're someone who's like, I want a good dark horse, I think Kyler is the move. I think you just put a little money on Kyler Murray. Like, I'm not saying put 100. I'm just saying like put 10, 20 bucks on Kyler Murray. It pays for dinner one night at least. Like he's plus 2,000 right now. He's plus 2,000. On some sports books, and other sports books have at plus 1,400, plus 1,600. But I think he's a good sleeper bet for this late season, especially with that easy schedule coming up and the Ravens playing a tougher schedule near the end. I do think Kyler Murray is not, because I just think the Bills after this loss, and Mahomes is not putting up the stats. So
after this loss, look at this guy.
They're losing. You can just put the Chiefs next to my name already. You don't even have to ask me. I'm just going to say the Chiefs.
Well, you're taking the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, the Ravens easily. Yeah. Like I want to choose the Steelers, but I just think that this first game will go to I think they'll split it this season, and I think this first game is the Ravens. Had a longer rest from Thursday to now Sunday. Not that bad of a travel for them. Going to be a close, competitive, good game. But I think the Ravens can win this game for sure.
Well, let's move from a guy who right now seems a shoo-in for the MVP to a guy who many people thought was going to be the MVP, or at least definitely in the conversation. And we're not talking about QB1 for the Colts. We are talking, of course, about QB1 for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have been tumbling. This is, and Aaron Rodgers said, there's a path to the playoffs. I know what we got to do. We got to score at least 21 points or 28 points a game in order to pull this off. And in his mind, that first week after he said it, when they were playing the Texans, they did, because Corley dropped right as he was going into the end zone. He dropped that touchdown. But they definitely did not score 21 points this past week when they were playing the Cardinals. The Cardinals thrashed them. It was ugly. And it was one of those games where you can look at the box score and see 31-6. And you can go, yeah, it was a thrashing. But when you watch the game, then you go, oh, no, 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 this was a thrashing. The Jets, it felt as though they did not stand a chance playing against the Cardinals. The Cardinals seemed to just have their way with them. And it kind of felt bad for Hassan Reddick because, that he was a Cardinal. But man, there's a lot that the Jets got to figure out. And right now they have a good opportunity to do that because it's a Colts team coming to play that is, I don't want to say reeling, but if we could definitely say that they are absolutely dysfunctional. They're borderline dysfunctional at best. I would say they are dysfunctional because you have a team that where the anointed QB1 of Anthony Richardson pulls himself out of a game because he was feeling tired. Then he gets benched for that, and they put in Joe Flacco, who was playing well, but now when they put him in and said he's going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future, proceeded to not do well at all against the Vikings and the Bills. And in the Vikings game, he was lucky that the Vikings were doing a case of playing down to their opponent's level and almost allowed a win, but they didn't get the win. The Colts didn't pick up the win there. And then they turned around and faced a Buffalo Bills team that, they did a good job of stopping Josh Allen from throwing a touchdown. But in Josh Allen's defense, it was also a game where he didn't have Amari Cooper and he didn't have Keon Coleman. Khalil Shakir, good player, but he can only do so much. Dalton Kincaid, one of the best tight ends in the league, but he can only do so much. James Cook, hey, that guy can run the ball, can't he? and between him and Josh Allen getting a rushing touchdown, the Bills were able to pick up a win there. And so the Colts said, all right, you know what? We're done with this. The Flacco experience, it worked in the beginning of the season when Tony was hurt, but we need to know what we have with Anthony Richardson. And you can make an argument. I mean, I don't think anybody would disagree that the benching of Anthony Richardson was going to be a temporary thing. The Colts, I think, realized that they weren't really going anywhere, but we need to do something to try to humble this kid and teach him a lesson and be like, hey, there's only 32 quarterbacks. You got to be able to play the game and you got to support your teammates. And now when you're coming into this game 4-6, you go, yeah, I mean, if maybe we thought at 4-3, we had a shot of potentially making the playoffs, but now that shot's pretty much done. You're not making the playoffs at 4-6. Flacco would have to rip off wins. And, maybe you're in the building thinking, hey, you believe in your team, but you have to sit there and be honest with yourself and say, we don't have the defense that Cleveland has. And that's a big reason why Flacco was able to rip off those wins, was because his defense was playing great football. We just don't have that. We have a decent defense, but we don't have the Browns defense. So they said, all right, Flacco, you're out. Tony, you're back in, and you are going to be the quarterback, they said, for the rest of the season. Could that change? I don't know. They said they put Flacco in there in the first place. So we'll see how that happens. But part of the way we'll find out is seeing how this game goes. This is a situation where the Jets really need the win, not because there's I believe that Aaron Rodgers believes that there's a way to the playoffs, but I don't believe that there's a way to the playoffs.
Well, what's the way to the playoffs? Do the Chargers and Broncos just have to implode? Yeah, that's how they get to the playoffs.
Basically, but you're a 3-7 team. Like, you would have to win out and have disastrous fires and explosions happen at Mile High Stadium.
Yeah, you would need the Chargers and Broncos teams to actually die. Like,
to be fair, he can accomplish that in one shot because the Chargers and the Broncos will play each other again.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is hitting up his conspiracy theorist friends. He's like, hey, make sure there's a bomb flying over the stadiums.
Anything is possible. That's what KG taught me. But I don't know if the Jets making the playoffs is going to be possible. And I think that this is a great opportunity for Tony to sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to prove to the team that I've learned my lesson, and I will have done. I will have done what needs to be done to earn back the trust. I'm going to take the Colts in this one. It is a little risky, but I'm going to trust that Richardson, between his legs and Jonathan Taylor, more Jonathan Taylor than Anthony Richardson, running the ball, and Richardson making a couple of those spectacular plays that Chase just loves to watch.
Yeah.
I'm banking on the Colts being able to eke out a win. Like, this could be something where it's like 17-13. And I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense to me. But how do you feel about this one?
Why are the Jets favorites? I said this last week, and I'm saying again.
It's a
Why
home
in the
game.
fuck?
home game,
No,
that's why.
I don't care. They should never be favorites right now. Give me the Colts. I have nothing to say about this Jets team. I said it when they faced Arizona. Arizona's going to kick their ass, and they did. And I think the Colts, they're going to do this. That offensive line can't protect for Rod. Like, look, getting Davante Adams ensured one thing: Rodgers will be back next season. And I think this is what I'm saying. I think the Jets are okay if this season doesn't turn out the dream season that they wanted. They still have all those guys on the roster still. They can hire a coach that will tend to Aaron Rodgers' needs. You know, Adams is going to be there. Garrett Wilson is going to be. The only thing that will fuck this up is like all of a sudden in the offseason, Garrett Wilson demands a trade for whatever reason. He's just sick and tired of the Jets, and you know they get him out of there, which they would get good draft capital for a guy like Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. But
God. But that's the only downside that, or a Breece Hall. Like, you know, they just say, you know what, we like this Breece Hall guy, but running backs are a dime a dozen. We got Braylon Allen.
They've got Braylon Allen, so like there's a stronger argument for Breece getting shipped out.
Yeah. They could, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to dangle a Sauce Gardner where they're just like, you know, he's kind of regressed, but some teams might take a chance on him. Like, there's a chance where the Jets go in and then try to just get more offensive line help. And this Colts defensive front, you know, we talked about last week where Collinsworth was talking about that triangle and stuff. The defensive front is really good. And
I would love for Denver's first round draft pick to pick up the Jets for Breece Hall.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. Breece Hall's great. But yeah, I think that definitely the Jets, it's more of like, it's okay if they lose here. It's not like this situation, because one, then the draft compensation for Davante Adams is lower. It's no longer going to be a second. What was it? They got him for a fourth, and it could have become a third if the Jets hit all these marks. So honestly, it's one of those situations where you know this team's going to come back next year. Let them gel. Maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't go to Egypt during training camp, and he's actually there to actually like do something. Like maybe that's the hope for the Jets right now and stuff. But I think right now this team is just a mess, especially on that offensive line. That offensive line is fucking putrid. Like Rodgers, some of the blame is on Rodgers, yes, absolutely. But when you watch some of these games, it's just like, bro, like they can't block. They literally can't block for this guy, and it's like Rodgers has to go quick way too many times.
Let's also factor this in. Davante Adams, wrist illness, did not practice today. Jake Hansen on the O-line, hamstring, did not practice today. Tyron Smith on the O-line, neck, did not practice today. Solomon Thomas, D-line, knee, did not practice today. CJ Mosley, linebacker, neck, did not practice today. Meanwhile, for the Colts, Michael Pittman Jr., full participant in practice. Julian Blackmon, full participation in practice. EJ Speed, linebacker, limited participation in practice, but that could turn around. Now they do have an issue. DeForest Buckner did not participate, and they do need to be able to get pressure. Like part of the reason that O-line you can exploit it is if you can get the pressure. DeForest Buckner, great at getting pressure on the quarterback. That's going to be something to watch. But still, I think the Colts are going to be able to pull this one off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just. Look, I just think it's one of those seasons with the Jets. They came in with a lot of expectations. We thought, oh, this team's going to be really, really good. I mean, this was supposed to be the original Sunday night game, and then they flexed it. They're like, no, we can't have this on Sunday Night Football. Collinsworth went there and be like, well, I had to call a Colts game. I'm not showing up. Mike can show up. He can get who's my replacement? Tony Dungy. Yeah, Dungy can call this game. They're like, all right, Chris. CBS blocked us from Bills and Chiefs. But how about your old team, the Bengals, taking on the Chargers in L.A.? I'll go to L.A. I'll go to Al's house. I'll go say hi to Al, my good friend. And it's going to be great, man. Herbert and Burrow, 2020. What a draft class. What's the graphic for this one, Mike? By the way, NBC graphics department of the year so far. They have not failed to make me laugh every time. Like
the Campbell's soup kids.
Every third quarter, I look forward to like all right, where's that funny NBC graphic? And then they put it up, and I'm just in tears every single time. They find a way, and I'm like, I love these guys.
Well, let's turn from a game that a game that could be fun, could be spicy for Chase to watch. He's got Big Tony to watch, to a game that probably will not be fun for Chase to watch if he so decides to watch it. But I have a feeling he will, at least the condensed version, because it is an AFC West team that's involved.
Yeah.
When the Las Vegas Raiders, travel to face the Dolphins team that picked up a really good win over the Rams. Not because there was a dominant win or anything like that, though they looked like they were in control in that second half from start to finish. It was a good win because you need the confidence. You need to be able to hang your hat on something, and they can hang their hat on Tua being back. He took the Bills to the limit a week prior, 30-27 loss, but took the Bills to the limit. And now they have a win over the Rams. We can say Tua is back. The question is going to be, how badly do they try to beat up on the Raiders? And the question for me is, how badly do they stop Minshew from getting the ball out to Brock Bowers? That's the only thing I care about in this game, because across all of my dynasty teams, across all of my redraft teams, the only player that I have out of any of this is Brock Bowers and redraft. And I care about that a lot because I have division control in a redraft league, but I really need Brock Bowers to work out, because I can never tell between him or Kyle Pitts who's going to have the good game. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to trust Brock Bowers to be the guy. Let's see what happens. But Brock Bowers has been game-changing for the Raiders. He has kept that offense alive. The only reason why in the beginning of Broncos Raiders it was even remotely close was because of Brock Bowers on that opening drive, getting a huge catch to move them down the field. I think it was like a 30-yard catch, and then he ends up getting a touchdown. But the Raiders, if we talked about earlier the what was it, the Colts being dysfunctional or being borderline dysfunctional, the Raiders, they're so hit or miss. It's so ridiculous because you can see that there's talent. You can see that there's talent on the offense. You can see Jacoby Myers. You can see Trey Tucker. You can see Brock Bowers. And to a certain extent, you can see Madison, but they don't know what they're doing because they have Alexander Madison, but now they're ceding touches from Madison to Zamir White. Is it a situation of, hey, we just really need to see what this rookie has? But you had that opportunity because he's been on the team when Josh Jacobs was there. And maybe you thought you were going to be competitive, but really you weren't towards the end of the season, but you still didn't really turn the ball over to Zamir White to see what you had there. Now, I guess maybe you are, but you didn't trust Zamir White in the first place because you wouldn't have brought in Madison and started giving him control of the backfield if you trusted Zamir White. Zamir White, though, is not a bad running back. Like, he's not terrible. He's not, the Raiders have had worse running backs in the past, but he may not be the guy. Gardner Minshew, definitely not the guy. AOC, definitely not the guy. Right now, Tagathon, which doesn't make any sense to me, has them with the 5th overall pick taking that cornerback out of Michigan, Will Johnson. And I'm like, if you're picking 5th, I get that Shedeur and Cam Ward may be off the board according to how this currently works out, but there's no way you don't take a quarterback at 5th. And I don't really see their draft pick getting further down for the rest of the season. I think they're going to be in that 5 to 8 range for the rest of the season. I just don't see them getting that many wins. If you're the Dolphins, you got to win this game, not because you're really in playoff contention. You are a 3-6 team. You just want to try to get back to 500 so that you can get somebody in there to really talk to Tua and be like, we've got his confidence back. We've got the team back. We can keep going for 2025. That's really what you're playing for. And I think that McDaniels knows This is a game that we need to win to keep Tua's confidence going. I think he's going to find a way to pull it off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that because the thing with the Raiders is, I don't know, they just kind of they're just so badly inconsistent. That offense is putrid to watch. Like besides Bowers and Myers like doing their thing, it's just so inconsistent. Defensively, they can be really good or they can be really bad. Just depends on who's healthy and who's playing. Matt Crosby, we know he's going to get after it. He's always a joy to watch on defense. But yeah, I think the Dolphins, they've been looking good these last 2 weeks. Yes, I know two of the three there were losses, but they were close losses and there were games that they could have won. So I think the Dolphins, they're going to be like that that team that ruins a lot of playoff hopes for a lot of the playoff teams that they're facing. Like they're just going to be one of those teams. Like I think the Dolphins missed out on a wild card spot just due to the lack of Tua games. Like that's the reason why they'll miss it. And I've been wanting to choose, and I've chosen the Dolphins a lot of times on here. And then the times I don't choose them, it bites me in the ass because I'm like, damn it, I knew I should have chosen them. So I'm gonna still hold faith. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins here, and then watch the Raiders kick their ass, and then I'm gonna be like, fuck it, I should have just chose the Raiders and stuff. But I do like this Dolphins team. They're looking much better. Like I think
the rest of their schedule though, not good. When we talk about wild card spot, like when we're talking about losing it because not having Tua, from here they got to face Drake May and the Patriots. Then it's at Green Bay. Then you got to face the Jets, who we maligned them earlier, but like it'll be a division game. Then you got to go to Houston. Then you got to take on the Niners. Then you got to go at Cleveland and then at Jets. So it's gonna be a tough one to try to get the wins that you'll need to get that wild card spot when you're already behind the 8 ball, being 3-6. So we'll see, but. Speaking of one of the teams that they're going to have to face, let's travel from a AFC matchup to an NFC matchup, and we can go even further down. It's another divisional game. We've got the Seahawks off of a bye week traveling to the Niners, and the Niners are a team that, man, I like Jordan Mason because I've had to rely on him a little bit here and there in fantasy, but CMC is just that dude. And he looked good coming out of the game last week. He allows them to do so much, and he opens up so much, similar to what we were talking about with Russell Wilson changing the game for the Steelers offense. CMC just does so many amazing things, and he can help Brock Purdy look like we know Brock Purdy can look. And the Niners are getting back to full strength when it comes to their receiving group. Yes, they've lost Brandon Ayuk, but they got Juwan Jennings back. Between Debo, Jennings, and there's this guy that got shot and survived, Ricky Pearsall, who got his first NFL touchdown last week. I don't know if they really need Brandon Ayuk to be there. At least right now, they doesn't seem as though they do. A question will be George Kittle, because he is questionable right now with a bit of I think it was hamstring injury, but he's also a guy that they can afford if CMC is back, like back. They can afford for Kittle to take some time off. I'm not necessarily saying deactivate him for the game, but you can have him out there in very situational football and say, okay, we don't need a short yardage guy because we've got CMC back. We don't need a downfield guy as much because Ricky Pearsall can pick up the slack because teams are going to have to worry about this CMC guy. It allows you to do so much. It allows you to keep people fresh. And that was one of the problems of the Niners in the past games without CMC is that Jordan Mason, as good as he is, he's a pure power back runner. He's a north-south runner, whereas CMC allows you to do zone running a bit more, allows you to go outside zone, allows you to do tosses, different things like that, and can play a better role in the passing game than Jordan Mason can. On the flip side, you have the Seahawks, who should, I believe, be getting DK Metcalf back for this game, but their passing attack has not been that crazy of a situation, and K9 has been really good running the ball. But if the Seahawks lost the last time that they played and the Niners didn't have CMC, I don't see a situation where the Seahawks pull off a win in San Francisco when the Niners do have CMC. So I think that this is a great time for Chase to be able to get back his Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown parlay.
Yeah.
Let me know how you feel about this one.
Yeah. Thursday night when the Niners were like pretty much were handicapped, they did really well against the Seahawks. Deebo Samuel tends to like just kill the Seahawks when they play. Something about the Seahawks when they face the Niners, they just kind of like go brain dead a little bit. Like they're just not as smart players as they should be. So I really do think that the Niners are going to win this game like easily. Like I don't know. There's something about this game. Like the odds should be a lot higher for the Niners to be favored here. And yeah, I think McCaffrey's back. He looks fine for what he was. No, there's a little questionable, but gotta rest the engine. You can't keep running that engine. Come on, give me back my CMC anytime touchdown bet, and I'll be one happy cowboy. So
yeah, it kind of sucks because I feel bad for the Seahawks because I don't low key because of Super Bowl 48, but I do kind of feel bad for the Seahawks because it's like you can tell they're trying. Like you can see the frustration on Gino's face when he throws an interception, and he's just like, God damn it! Like I'm busting my ass out here, and I feel bad for them in a way. But man, you're 4-5. I don't know if you're going to be able to really get one of those NFC wildcard spots. We're saying that the NFC is open, but some of those teams that are also going to be competing for a wildcard spot, they're on this schedule because look at this schedule. They got to face San Fran now. Then they got to face Arizona, Jets, Arizona again, then the Green Bay Packers, then the Minnesota Vikings, then the Chicago Bears, and you end the season facing the Rams. You just lost to the Rams in overtime. Mm-hmm. And 3 of those teams that are on this list are all going to be fighting for the wild card spots. The Packers, the Vikings, and maybe the Bears, if the Bears can sort things out. But this is a game you have to win. If you are the Seahawks, you have to win this game in order to keep any kind of playoff hopes alive. But sorry, you said the Niners, but I don't think that they're going to be able to have a chance to do it. But let's turn from divisional game to conference versus conference. The Atlanta Falcons, Kirko Chains, Cole's Cash, Mr. Cole's Cash himself, coming off of a stunning loss to the New Orleans Saints, has to turn around. You're 6-4, you're first in the division, you have control of the division, and you have to turn around to face one of the best passing defenses in the league. And yes, the Broncos have they've dropped because of that Ravens game, but they took the defending Super Bowl champions, which I get Bill Belichick's argument of it's a completely different team. It's not defending. I agree with him. But for the purposes of right now, fuck that shit. They took the defending Super Bowl champions to the absolute limit. Mm-hmm. And that's a phrase that gets said a lot in wrestling parlance when you've got commentators trying to put over somebody who took a loss, but they really did. And but for Alex Forsyth, I think it was him, but for that defensive front crumbling on the last play of the game on a field goal kick, Will Lutz converts it, and it's game over. Yeah. The Chiefs are no longer undefeated. Yep. And realistically, that game can be traced back even further, away from that one play to another play. At the very end of the first half, Courtland Sutton drops a pass that would have converted from second to a first down. And then the Broncos were driving, and they had to have Will Lutz attempt something like a 60-yard field goal, and he misses it, and it drops in, and it's returned by Kansas City, and they tackle him, whatever. But that was a situation where if Sutton makes that catch, they were kicking the field goal no matter what because of just the clock. Because of the distance, it would have been like a 52-yard or maybe even a 50-yard field goal. And if Lutz hits that, it's 17-10 going into the half. Broncos have momentum. And if the rest of the game plays out roughly the same, Broncos win the game. So this is a team that has absolutely overachieved and have done really well, but they're going to be facing an offense that is stoppable, but is also kind of unstoppable. When you've got Bijan Robinson running as well as he has been playing, and you've got the Drake Londons of the world and the Darnell Moonies of the world who are absolutely making Chicago look dumb for letting him go. Because I know you love him, but if I was Chicago, I would much rather have Darnell Mooney right now than Keenan Allen. Because Darnell Mooney is going to be able to provide your offense. Like the Bears need people who can just weave in and out and just do crazy shit to get open. And I love Keenan Allen, like just generally as a player, even though, like, you know, like I make the joke with you about the best ability is availability, but he's not that kind of guy. And if he was, he's not that anymore is really what I should be saying. Darnell Mooney has been playing great for the Falcons and picking up the slack when Drake London needs a break, is on the field. He's just being a great wide receiver too. And that's really what he should have been in Chicago. Ray McLeod also stepping up. And they're doing this without throwing the ball continually to Kyle Pitts. That theme has really continued.
Who's Kyle Pitts? Is he a new player, John? I'm never heard of him. What? I think you're making up players. I don't know who this guy is. But never heard of Kyle. Is he good? I've never seen him.
You've got the guy who coming into this game is the third highest passing yards in the league. That's what Kirk Cousins is, 2,634. And Lamar is number 2 with 2,669. So it's very close. He could be number 2. Lamar has more passing touchdowns, but Kirk has one of the highest passing touchdown rates in the league. And meanwhile, this is a team that, once again, is doing this without throwing the ball to Kyle Pitts. Now, why do I keep bringing this up?
I don't know who this player is. You keep saying this Kyle Pitts. I don't think he's real, John. Don't think he's real. I think you're making up it sounds like a good player in Madden, Kyle Pitts. That sounds like a tremendous player to have.
I keep bringing this up for one reason and one reason only. Denver is terrible at defending against tight ends. I don't know why, but they are. Brock Bowers.
So you're saying this created player, Kyle Pitts, is going to do
created
well
players, exactly.
Oh, okay. Never heard of him. I think he exists, right? Yeah.
Like I need somebody to explain to me how Kyle Pitts has the third highest yardage in this team. Like, I like Darnell Mooney. I just spent about a couple minutes putting him over. But, like, Kyle Pitts should be number 2 to Drake London in yardage. And it's not even close because, like, actually, no. You know who's number 2 on the team? It's Drake London. Darnell Mooney has more receiving yards than Drake London this year. That's how crazy it is. How well they've been using Darnell Mooney.
Mooney's been yards after catch. He must be, like, pretty high up there in the league because
it's ridiculous.
Because he gets, like I talked about last week, they actually get him in space because they're like, oh, because Chicago made the dumb decision, just run a 9 route and you're going to beat the guy and then try to catch it. But the Falcons were like, run a drag, run this, run that, outrun the person instead of trying to outrun the defender and then try to catch, outrun it with the ball in your hand. And he's been tremendous at that. Like that's the one thing that the Falcons have done well with Mooney is just not just using him as a 9 route guy, deciding to get the ball in his hands so that way he can use that tremendous speed to get to the outside and beat players and stuff. But yeah, Kyle Pitts.
The key to this game for Denver is, can you stop Kyle Pitts? Which is a wild sentence to say.
Since he doesn't exist, John, I think you guys are going to stop him.
But if they can
don't think it's that hard to stop an imaginary player.
If they can stop Kyle Pitts and they can continue to do well against the run, because the Falcons have Bijan Robinson, I trust Pat Surtain and Riley Moss to contain Drake London and Darnell Mooney enough that you're going to force throws to Kyle Pitts. And if you can block him, if you can guard him, Denver wins this game. Because Bo Nix has been playing exceptional football for what he was supposed to be doing with the cast of characters that he has. And he's been playing great. Like right now he's 20th in the league in passing yards, so it doesn't look great, but he's doing well. Like, and his total in between passing and running the ball, hell, even catching touchdowns, he's doing all of it. But the let's look at the Falcons defense. The Falcons defense on the flip side of things is not they're 23rd right now in total yardage. If we break it down and look at their passing, well, they're 7th in allowing the most passing yards. And if we look at their rushing, they're 10th. Well, Denver doesn't run the ball very well. Now, granted, Peyton's turning control over to Audric Estime a bit more here and there, but Denver really doesn't run the ball well. It's going to come down to the Broncos receivers. Vele has definitely stepped up. Troy Franklin's still kind of hit or miss, but Vele has looked really good. Trotman is stepping up as a tight end again. Denver really needs to get a tight end in the offseason because Greg Dulcich is not working. But maybe it's the homer in me. I'm going to take the Broncos. How do you feel about this one?
I do like the Broncos in this situation just because, like, Atlanta kind of let up a stinker against the guy who clogs the toilet, my guy. Also, I really would love my Broncos over 5.5 wins to cash. That'd be very nice this weekend. That'd be a nice little extra.
No. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Do you know how, like, I would have just FaceTimed you if that bet, because I made that bet twice at 2 different times. If it cashed beating the Chiefs, I would have been like clothes off, running around the streets of Chicago.
I would have been so excited because I was all like, Broncos at 5.5, like they're gonna win 6 or 7 games. Like, what's this disrespect? Like, I thought it was crazy. But I do think that I do like the Broncos more in this situation. I don't think Vegas is far off here because, like, the Falcons coming off a bad loss against the Saints. Then you got to travel to Denver. It's the elevation. It's getting into that winter time feeling. Kirk Cousins, yes, he played in Minnesota indoors. He didn't play outdoors in Minnesota. It was not an outdoor environment. It's one of those things where I just think Falcons are going to come in. Like, you keep saying this Kyle Pitts character. Have not seen him since a National Tight End Day. So I don't know. I think he just exists on that day. I think there's no such character until it's National Tight End Day. And thankfully that's passed for the Broncos. So I actually think the Broncos, I like their defense a lot. They did a good job containing Mahomes. I think they're going to do the same thing to Kirk Cousins, force Cousins to make some mistakes, give Bo Nix a good short field. And the Broncos will pull off, not to Vegas things, but to most in the NFL, a shocking upset win. I think they could definitely pull that off. I also like that it's like a 4 o'clock game for them, or 3 o'clock their time zone for them, because then it's like going to be a little bit colder. It might be like, Cousins, he's like probably not going to be feeling himself. So yeah, I do like this situation for the Broncos here to pull off a considerable upset win over the Falcons. Like, the Falcons are still a good team. It's just, that game against the Saints, and now you got to travel to the Broncos. Like, that's rough. That's a rough travel for the Broncos, and especially because it's going to be a darker game, and Denver, that arena gets shady. It gets that weird shadow that and who knows, maybe the Falcons wear some black pants and Kirk Cousins can't find this Kyle Pitts character. He's just like, oh, he's down there somewhere. So
I will also add this. Granted, I don't think he's going to be playing in this game, but Denver has opened Josh Reynolds' 21-day window to return from IR. And first he was on IR, and then while on IR, this guy got shot. I'm still trying to figure out, sir, why you were at a strip club. Just come on
himself. Come on.
Okay, but I'm saying, like, if you're an NFL player, you probably make enough money that you could just get the strippers to come to your house. I don't know if he's married or not, but or you can go to a friend's house and have the strippers come to that house there.
Let's see if Josh Reynolds is married.
I mean, I'm just saying there are solutions to modern problems, modern solutions. There are ways to pull this off. That's all I'm trying to say. But while you
Yeah, he's
look.
married. He's married. He's married.
Okay,
He
well,
didn't want his wife to see it.
okay. Well, listen, if I'm not saying I'm a married man, I'm not saying you should go and do things that you don't want your wife to see and all that kind of thing. But if you are going to do that, if you are making that life choice decision, which you shouldn't, but if you are, just do it at a fucking friend's house. Don't go and get shot. Like, that's all I'm saying. But let's turn from a game that hopefully goes the way that we're predicting to a game that should be Sunday Night Football. A game that absolutely should be.
I don't know, John. I gotta see Mahomes and
I
see Josh Allen.
appreciate that you understood that
know.
was your cue. When the Kansas City Devil
John,
Worship,
just say the time. Just put the Chiefs next to mine. Just put the Chiefs. I am not choosing anyone else. Just put the fucking Chiefs.
Kansas City
I don't
Devil
care.
Worshippers.
Just put their name next to me. I do not care. I can't choose the Bills. I'm sorry.
The Kansas City Devil Worshippers. I just want to keep saying Devil Worshippers. Travel to Buffalo. They travel to Highmark Stadium. This is an AFC Championship game rematch. It is the rivalry of our time, one might say. This is the new.
What rivalry? Josh Allen beats him in the. He beats him in the regular season. Can't win in the fucking playoffs.
This is the new. This is, at least until it changes. This is the new Manning Brady. But we know that Chiefs is going Chiefs.
Yeah, I can't. They're gonna win. Like, why do we give hope to Buffalo? Like, there's no hope here. There's literally no hope. It's just
I'm gonna die
Chiefs
on this hill. I'm gonna die on this hill.
You're gonna go with the Bills. That's fine. You can go with the Bills.
On this hill.
I'll have my parlay of the Patriots. The Patriots. Who else did I choose as an underdog here? The Patriots and
you took, that's it from an underdog perspective. Oh no, Commanders.
Okay, well I'll have my Patriots, Commanders, and Chiefs parlay hit. Just sweating the Commanders and the Patriots, not even sweating the Chiefs. The Chiefs could be down by 28.
You know what's going to be funny.
I'm not going to sweat this. I know they're going to win. They're just going to win. No, you got to just accept it. This is a team of destiny. This team is going to win. They're going to win it all. Why are we playing this season? Roger Goodell should come out during the middle of this game when the Chiefs somehow win and say, guys, guess what? We're fake. We're not real. The Chiefs are our money grabbers. They're the Roman Reigns. They're the John Cena. They're the Hulk Hogan. They're the Steve Austin. They're getting pushed to the fucking moon. They're the bait. This is ridiculous. It wasn't even your fault why you guys lost. Like, it was ridiculous. You guys played the perfect game. I explained why the Chiefs were minus 7.5 favorites, because they knew that, because the odds makers, they don't want you to make money on the Chiefs. They're just like, we're tired of people teasing the Chiefs. We're tired of this. We don't want it, because they knew Denver would keep the game close. It wasn't that Denver was a shitty team. And so it was to just say, so that way people can't make money on the Chiefs. Chiefs played as well as the Chiefs could. Denver played above the expectations, and they could have won that game. But no, then Patrick Mahomes sacrificed someone. He chose a relative that he doesn't care about and says, "Hey man, I need to really win this game. We gotta get to 9-0, man. My T-Mobile sponsorship with Apple 16 iPhone Pro is on the line." Threw him into the fire, and then all of a sudden, Leo Chanel jumps 50 milliseconds offsides to block a kick. No call, nothing. There's you're on the other side. You're where the kicker is, Leo Chanel. That's fine. We won't throw no flag for that. Then Chiefs Kingdom.
I like how you're almost more mad about the loss than I am.
It's ridiculous at this point. Every single fucking week it's something. Man. I gotta look at this Chiefs fucking schedule. This Chiefs 10-0. Yeah, this 10-0 bullshit.
I'm looking at it right now. So they've got Bills, then at Carolina.
No, I'm talking about all their stupid wins this season.
I'm looking at that too.
Okay. So the Chiefs beat the Ravens because Isaiah Likely's toe was too big. They beat the Bengals because of a phantom DPI.
Yep.
They beat the Falcons because the refs didn't see the DPI they caused on Kyle Pitts.
Yep.
They beat the Chargers because Derwin James was suspended the game, and of course another ridiculous.
Think about that. Wait, hold on. Think about that. If Derwin James is playing in that game and Mahomes kills Rashee Rice's knee, you guys win that game.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact Herbert was still on that bum ankle. Okay, the Saints, we expect you to beat them. They go out, they enter the 49ers as a big time underdog, and then all of a sudden Mahomes becomes superhuman. He trucks that big ass linebacker.
That was another case of Mahomes running and doing the pump fake shit and not getting killed.
Yeah, exactly, and stuff. And Bill Belichick said it best on the Manicast: you just got to hit them and stuff. They were struggling with the Raiders, and then of course Black Magic, and then Tampa Bay. You know, Baker played well without his supporting cast, but they came into that game without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, probably one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL at wide receiver. No, none of those guys, they play good, but of course Mahomes wins the coin toss. Baker said, "Fuck this! I'm going to be 1-5." Because I can never get the ball in overtime and stuff. And then
Juwan Taylor offsides multiple times.
False start, starting his pass pro when Mahomes barely says blue 80. Like, what the fuck is this? And then against the Broncos, literally, Broncos are beating your ass. They're doing a great job containing Mahomes, make sure Mahomes isn't beating with the legs, taking away a lot of the passing plays that they want to do. And then, of course, Liz Chanel, he can just be right by the kicker. He can just be offsides no matter what, just to block a kick. I was like, so tired of it. And it isn't going to happen in this game. It's just going to be Bills are going to be up by like 28. Romo's going to be like, Jim, the Chiefs, they're going to get cash. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter, Mahomes magic again. They end up winning. The Bills score one more, get a field goal because they're overthinking it. They give the Chiefs only 14 seconds. Mahomes will chuck it deep to Worthy. Either Worthy catches it and runs for a game-winning walk-off touchdown in Buffalo, or it's a DPI and great women respecter Harrison Butker
better chance
a game-winning field goal.
Better chance of the DPI call.
Yeah, and then, so I'm sick of it. I'm just so tired of this team. I can't. Can someone beat them? Can someone? And you know what's even?
You know what's crazy? Now on FanDuel, you can bet which team will be the first loss, and so they have odds. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I haven't looked at this for a couple days, but at the time when I looked at it, the lowest odds, so the closest to being negative, was that the Chiefs go undefeated.
Okay, but I want to know each
team's
odds.
That one was plus 800.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll pull it up right now. It may have changed.
I am so curious.
It may have changed, but at the time there was plus 800 for the Chiefs to go undefeated. Everything else was a higher plus rating. That's how ridiculous it is. They're just like, I don't know what it is. He fucking sacrifices children or some shit, but they do not lose.
Yeah, he just told his aunt, "Sorry that I got to sacrifice your nephew, but we got to win this football game." Yeah, that's what he did. He sacrificed one of his poor little nephews.
All right, here it is. Okay. Oh, so it has changed. All right. So right now, assuming that they beat the Bills, it's plus 1,300 for the Panthers, then plus 1,500 for the Raiders, plus 750 for the Chargers, plus 1,100 for the Browns, plus 1,200 for the Texans, plus 1,500 for the Steelers, and look at this fucking disrespect, plus 2,300 for the Broncos in week 18, when they could be resting starters,
when they might be,
and it's plus 800. It's plus 800 to go undefeated. So right now the Chargers
they're saying the Chargers are the favorites.
The Chargers are the favorites to be the ones who give the loss.
Based on Herbert's track record, he plays really well in Kansas City. I think he has an insane QBR in that stadium, but different Charger team. Yeah, I might be a degenerate. I might trust in the Panthers in this one.
Trust in the Panthers. I love that.
Yeah, Bryce Young's back. They have a bye week. They can prepare for this.
They can prepare.
Yeah, Bryce Young Just has a
Oh
great
my
ring
god!
with
No,
that.
if honestly, that was the real reason why I wanted Denver to win. It really didn't have anything to do with like, okay, it'll be the Chiefs' first loss. It would go to Denver. The reason why I wanted it to be that is because I was like, listen, if Bo Nix is the motherfucker that ends this undefeated streak of the Chiefs that dates back to last year, give that man offensive rookie of the year. I don't give a shit. Give it to him.
Because the
Jaden
Chiefs,
Daniels
like,
too.
if they go, what's the final record? They can go 17-0, right? That's the final
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
They could end up like Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. We would have such great memes if they lose in the Super Bowl. They could end up like the Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. So I kind of want it to happen where they make the Super Bowl and they lose to the Lions and
21-1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? Fuck it. I think that'd be great. Yeah, be like Undertaker.
The memes would be amazing.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like honestly, your team just because like the Chiefs could be resting people, but then like how much is it that like the Chiefs really want this undefeated record and they just play the starters the first half, and then if they get up a big advantage and stuff. So, but also your team could be in that situation where like I mean the Broncos
They're not
are
going to
good
rest.
wild.
They can't rest starters.
No. But what I'm saying like you guys are in a good. If the Bengals keep bangling, you guys are going to be one of the top wildcard teams, and you're going to look at the matchups and you're going to say, do we want to pass the Chargers, who are currently the top AFC wildcard, and go to Buffalo, or are we cool with taking a trip to Texas and taking on the Texans? Like that.
I would rather face Buffalo.
See, I want the Texans. I think that's like the team. If you're a wild card team in the AFC, you want the
Actually,
Texans.
no, you're right, because the Texans' offensive line is terrible.
Because like you're going to be traveling to Buffalo. Like your team's more well equipped to play in Buffalo compared to like the Chargers. Like I'm just afraid if we go to Buffalo, we're just going to get smoked. Like I would like our chances. Oh no, actually, so Buffalo would be the 2 seed. So you're debating between do you want to go to Baltimore or do you want to go to Pittsburgh, or maybe like lose one more and go to and then go to what's it called, Texas? Because I think right now in the AFC,
the thing is that's tough because like so Denver played Pittsburgh close, but Denver shit the bed against the Ravens. And granted, the reason why it wasn't as close box score wise is because they kept going for it on fourth. Like they went for it on fourth and whatever, like 3 different times and ended up turning the ball over. But honestly, I would want to go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because so this is like where the situation is right
because if Denver won the game, they would have beaten Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
The first time around, it was Justin Fields. That's the sole reason why I would want that to happen.
Yeah, because if you look at the AFC playoff, so Chiefs are 9-0. They're going to get the first seed unless they have like a weird collapse near the end of the season. Second seed technically right now is Buffalo because they have one more win because of the bye weeks. They have one more win than the Steelers than the Steelers right now. But the Steelers currently would be the 3rd seed. But this Baltimore game could change it. So Steelers or Ravens intertwining between the 3rd seed. And so, yeah, and then pretty much the Chargers are going to be whatever the top seed or the 2nd seed.
So
because the only teams you're worried about.
Yeah, right now they have to go to Buffalo. Like if it ended right now, they'd go to Buffalo because they're the 7th.
Because the thing with Denver is this: you guys are 5-5. If you guys win this week, like we're predicting, you're 6-5. But then, really, the only teams that can catch up to you wild card wise are the Bengals and the Colts. And I don't think those teams are catching up to you guys wild card wise. I think you guys can actually secure the last wild card spot. I think the Chargers and between Steelers and Ravens.
That's the thing. I don't want Denver to
go. Well, John, I hate to break it to you, but the Dolphins are 3-6, the Jets are 3-7, the Patriots are 3-7, the Bengals are 4-6, the Browns are 2-7, Titans are 2-7, Jaguars are 2-8. There's not a lot. This is not like the NFC where it's wide open. There's literally only like 5 teams fighting for those wild card spots. I think the Chargers.
Oh, but here's the thing, though.
Here's one of them for sure.
Here's the problem. Though. Denver over the last games of the season will be playing the Chargers, then the Bengals.
Oh wow.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like it's very much possible that they lose their wild card spot because of a loss at the Bengals.
But I think the Bengals won't have enough wins to overtake you. I think you guys will have a better win-loss record than them.
I don't know, man.
Because you still have to play the Raiders. Like, yeah, come on, man. You playing the Raiders still?
Okay, but
have to play
hold on. Think about who else Denver has to play. They're at Raiders, then the Browns, which is a good defense at the very least.
No, dude,
then they have their
you
bye
guys are
week.
better than the Browns.
Listen, I take it on a week-to-week basis.
you guys are going to beat the Browns.
A bye week, then it's the Colts, then the Chargers.
That's all the teams that you have to worry about in the wild card. Yeah, the Colts, the Chargers, and the Bengals. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so if they lose those games, then they're losing that wild card spot.
I think you guys are going to make it. I think you guys will be a 7 seed. You guys will travel to Buffalo or Baltimore, one of those two teams.
I really hope it's not Baltimore.
I'm hoping the Chargers face the Texans in the first round. I think we can kick their asses.
That's not fair. You guys don't deserve that.
No, what do you mean? Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Don't you want a playoff Harbaugh Bowl though? Come on. Go to Baltimore.
I'm already getting I know we're getting a Harbaugh Bowl this. We're getting a Harbaugh Bowl this year. We don't need another one. Fuck that. Come on.
But in order for any of those situations to play out, we got to know what happens on Sunday Night Football. Carrie Underwood's going to be singing. They got her in the studio right now, re-recording her little bit where she talks about the teams because they flexed in Chargers, Bengals, two teams that are really, they should be flipped. Like nobody expected the Chargers to be as good as they are, and nobody expected the Bengals to have been as poor as they are. And this is a situation where the Bengals need the win. Like this is a must win, considering what we were just talking about with AFC playoff seeding. It is a must win game for the Bengals. The Chargers, on the other hand, are sort of playing with house money because if the Chargers make the playoffs, if the Chargers don't make the playoffs, they've already done enough that they are able to feel happy about themselves and go, hey, just like Denver, we are ahead on the rebuild. And actually, they're more ahead than Denver on the rebuild because they're doing it 1 year faster. Denver technically started the rebuild last year. But part of why you're able to do a rebuild and do it so well and do it so quickly is if you have a quarterback. And Denver right now has figured out that they do have a quarterback. But the Chargers, it was never in doubt whether they had a quarterback or not because Justin Herbert has finally started looking like Justin Herbert again. Granted, we were talking about this earlier, and the Titans, he only had 164 yards, 1 touchdown, not that great. But the question is looking confident. And more importantly, even you could say than Justin Herbert, and it's a wild sentence to say, but more importantly than Justin Herbert is getting Gus Edwards back. Because Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins allows this rushing attack, which is what Harbaugh wants to do, allows them to eat up the clock, allows them to control the tempo, to the point that Gus Edwards got more touches than J.K. Dobbins did. That seems crazy considering how well J.K. Dobbins has run the ball. But when you remember that J.K. Dobbins is held together by duct tape, hope, prayers, and Jim Harbaugh threatening to kill him probably if anything happens to him, it makes a little bit more sense. And you want to be able to see how well Gus Edwards is coming back off of IR. And a part of me, I mean, if we're all being honest here in the room between you, me, and our viewers, I think Harbaugh understood we're beating the Titans. Whether J.K. Dobbins runs a lot or not, we're beating the Titans. Let's see how good Gus Edwards is back from IR once we put him in pads and make him run the ball. And Gus Edwards did very well. So the Chargers really do they're much closer to a balanced offense now than they were at the beginning of the season when it really was, we're running the ball. What are we doing? We're running the ball. It's 3rd and 10. We're running the ball. That's what we're going to do. And you have players like Will Dissly, who has stepped up at tight end. I would say that just like Denver, tight end is going to be a spot that I think the Chargers should be drafting when it comes to the offseason. If you guys get like a Tyler Warren, whew, that will be really spicy.
Maybe Harbaugh just takes his boy Loveland. He's just like,
Yeah,
fuck it. He's getting our boy Loveland. Yeah.
Honestly, between Loveland and Warren, whichever one doesn't go to the Chargers, I would love for Denver to have. I think Denver probably will make the selection first because I think there's larger pressing needs on the Chargers team, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But one thing that they have figured out is, hey, Quentin Johnson, he could actually be a good receiver. Brandon Staley's
always believed
Brandon Staley's over there like, man, if Quentin Johnson had just done some of this shit when I was still there, I'd still be there. And Quentin Johnson was like, I'm really glad that I didn't do these things. But the other great aspect of it is Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey has looked gangbusters. And if it wasn't for players like Malik Neighbors and BTJ, Ladd McConkey would be offensive wide receiver rookie of the year by far, because nobody has looked as good as a rookie wide receiver than better than Ladd McConkey, than really BTJ and Neighbors. Like, you can make an argument for Marv, but they just don't want to throw to him. So it's like, okay, he's making a couple catches here and there. Meanwhile, Ladd McConkey is just like, put the team on my back when it comes to the passing game. I'll figure out a way to get this done. And when you have the role players like Josh Palmer stepping up and you have Quentin Johnson stepping up, you can have Ladd McConkey do those ridiculous ass streaks down the field. I really hope we get to see McConkey go up against Pat Surtain when they play again, because if I remember right, Pat Surtain was not playing. He got
hurt the first play
in the game. Yeah, it was the first. He got the concussion in the game. I really want to see, Pat Surtain and McConkey going at it for a full 4 quarters. That's just going to be fun to watch if you like football. But here, the question is going to be, can Ladd McConkey go up against this Bengals defense? And I think he can. This Bengals defense has been so it's not even hit or miss, because it's way more miss than it is hit. The thing is, though, when they have hit, they've been on. But they just seem to err on the side of being misses more often than not. The question to me is going to be, can the Chargers defense, which is a top 3 defense in the league currently on both sides, whether it's passing or running, can they slow down Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins? Because the rest of the people on that team, Gesicki, Chase Brown, they're okay. All right, whatever. But if you can stop Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins, that's the real question of this team. I don't think that they can. However, that's why we have Chase here, to provide the counter argument and tell me why the Chargers defense can stop the Bengals and why the Chargers offense and defense are going to win this game.
Well, I'm here to tell you, man. Cam Hart, rookie out of Notre Dame, has played really well for us. Christian Fulton is coming back. He's been a key defensive player. Third safety Elijah Molden has been one of the steals from the Chargers when they traded for him from the Tennessee Titans. This defense is just, of course, the injury report, Bosa and Mack did not practice. So I'm not really concerned about that, because it's like, we've been rotating our pass rush, and it's like, this is what I wanted. Like to me, yes, it's cool to have 2 premier edge rushers, but if you can have those 2 premier edge rushers and then you feel good about your backups, that's what I feel like wins football games. And especially when you have a guy like Bud Dupree, who's looking back to form. He's looking like the Bud Dupree that a lot of people thought he was going to be for many years in the league. When you look at Tuli Tuipulotu, who's having a great sophomore campaign for the Chargers, he's actually technically the starter at outside linebacker for us instead of Joey Bosa. We start most defensive drives with Tuli as Joey Bosa has been coming back from injury. I think that pass rush is going to get to Burrow. Like that's the one thing about the Bengals is this. They still have this issue with these long developing plays. They haven't figured out that short game. And I do think they can beat the Chargers deep. I absolutely. Ja'Marr Chase is for sure going to get his vintage 70-yard touchdown bomb. I'm going to witness that live and be like, oh, wow, that was a cool throw. But that's definitely going to happen. But also, too, Burrow on Sunday nights, he does not look good. His Sunday night stat line is very, very shocking.
Lions game, man.
Yeah, it's always kind of like, that's weird. But also, history is on the Chargers side because for whatever reason, the Bengals don't play us that well. They just kind of play really bad against us, and this goes back for a long time. Like we always just seem to have the Bengals number when it comes to facing them as a team. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be the Bengals offense against this really good Chargers defense. That's like I've never seen the Chargers defense like this. Jesse Minter, please just suck a little bit. I don't want you gone from my team. I need you, Jesse Minter. If you guys don't know who he is, Chargers defensive coordinator. You just
I don't think
Google him.
I don't think he would leave after his first year with Harbaugh.
Yeah, and he shouldn't.
I think you got at least one more year.
But when you look at Minter, just Google him. You're going to look at this guy and be like, there's an NFL GM drooling for this guy. Good-looking kid, knows defense. He has the Harbaugh mentality. He doesn't really touch the offensive side of the ball. He'll hire an OC to do all that type of stuff. He's just he inspires his players to play well. Like he uses like high school football techniques to inspire these players, and these players buy into it, and they play really well. That defense could give Burrow a lot of troubles, and I think the pass rush will be enough to get to Joe Burrow because that offensive line is still kind of iffy for the Bengals. But if the Bengals, they can win this game if they take their time on offense, if they can get that run game going, if they just decide instead of going for the home run balls, let's go for these short routes, let's attack the short game, and then go for the home run balls. The Chargers, we know what they're going to do. Hand the ball off. Herbert's going to rip one, and that's it.
You know what's working in the Chargers' favor, too? Do you know where Jesse Minter was before he was with Michigan?
Want to say like San Diego State or something?
So 2021, he was Vandy's defensive coordinator and safeties coach. But before that, from 2017 to 2018, Baltimore Ravens defensive assistant. 2019, 2019, Baltimore Ravens assistant D-backs coach. 2020, Baltimore Ravens defensive backs coach. He's played against Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Well, you got to look at our defensive backs. Like Cam Hart at one point was like a second round. People thought first round pick. He's played tremendous. Like he's looked really, really good. It's like the Chargers always do this too. We find like some weirdo like in the 4th or 5th round at defensive back. No, we do. We always like, dude, Antoine Cason, freaking Michael Davis was an undrafted guy, and he was good for us for so many years. Like we just find these random guys that like all of a sudden just become good to solid corners in the NFL. And Cam Hart at 6'4" with the speed that he has. He's looked good. Tarheeb still has been pretty solid for us too. He kind of comes in every once in a while, but Cam Hart has been a really, really good cornerstone piece, and it's filling the void of Asante Samuel Jr. being missing because people forget Zont's not. That's Asante's nickname. Zont's not playing. He's still hurt, but Bolton. If you look at Christian Bolton's advanced stats, he's one of the best. He's playing like one of the best corners in the league. If you look at his stats, Bolton's been really, really good as a cornerback. So I think those two are good enough, and then. I think we have the 3 best safety tandem in the league. The 3, like Derwin, Alohi, and Elijah Molden. Those guys just are playing so well right now. Derwin James, like this is his best season in quite some time, like since his rookie year where he was, rookie year Derwin James, like Jesus, take me back. That was a tremendous like rookie year. Like, how did we get him at 16? I remember being so happy we got Derwin at 16. That was such a great pick. But yeah, no, I think the Chargers win this game. I think we're going to do enough to control the ball. We're going to limit the big passing plays from the Bengals. I think the only way the Bengals win is if they actually just control the football. But I don't see them doing that. Like
Chase Brown is good, but he's not that good.
Yeah, the reason why they lost that Baltimore game was the fact they couldn't control the football. They were really they were trying. Like the problem with the Bengals is this: Zach Taylor. It's just like the ebbs and flow of the game. Like he understands it, but he doesn't implement it. Like he just decides, like, let's go for the kill. Let's go for the kill. And then later on, the Bengals put themselves in bad situations because like they'll go first down, go for a deep shot on first down. Okay, now you're making second down harder, and now you're making it predictable that you might run the ball. And then you're at 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 7. And yes, I know you have Jamar Chase. You have T. Higgins. Gesicki could get open too. Tanner Hudson has been playing well. But now you've got to figure out those passing plays. And yes, they may work early in the game, but then later in the game, when defenses are adjusting and stuff, they don't work the same. And that's why they lost that game against Baltimore. They just couldn't control the game when they needed it the most. They needed one of those drives where it lasted like the whole 3rd or 4th quarter, like keep that offense off the field, and they just couldn't. So that's my problem with the Bengals. Mostly it's like they can't control the ball, and I don't think they will control the ball against the Chargers. I think the Chargers definitely win this football game, and we can just put the Texans next to the next to our names. There's who's a quarterback? Who Cowboys starting out this week? They get Troy. You think Troy Aikman's gonna come? Do you think Troy Aikman's gonna come from the booth? Like they're just gonna ask Troy to go play quarterback real quick?
Before we get there, I do want to ask you, how are you feeling about the rest of the Chargers schedule? Because from Cincinnati, then you gotta go up against the Ravens, just like I did. Then you're at Atlanta, then you're at Kansas City, Tampa Bay. By week 15, they should have Mike Evans back. Then you got to take a loss because you're going to be going to Mile High to face the Broncos. But then you get a good bounce back. You get to face the Patriots, and then you end the season with the Raiders. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's a tough stretch, but it's hardball. So I'm going to say I feel good about it. I think I do. I think the Baltimore game, that's going to be one of those where John shows why he's the big brother to little brother Jim. He's going to beat us there. Then the rest of the games are kind of just toss-ups. Like the Atlanta game, I don't know. Like, seems like it should be a easy win, but who knows? Tampa Bay does scare me a little bit. I'm just choosing the Chiefs. Like, there's no way we're losing against them. We're beating them in fucking Arrowhead. Like, Jawan Taylor will start to play next to Patrick Mahomes, ready to protect him, and they still won't call ball starts on that guy. But yeah, I think it's a tough schedule, but it's a doable one where Harbaugh can go 10-6, 9-7 type of shit. 10-7, 9-8. Like I feel 10-7, 9-8. We're still going to make the playoffs. It's going to be a good feeling with Jim Harbaugh. Like I don't expect any of these wins to be bad losses to be bad ones. Maybe Baltimore kicks our ass, but I don't see Tampa Bay blowing us out. I don't see Atlanta blowing us out. It's one of those situations where it's just like I just trust Jim Harbaugh as a better coach than Todd Bowles, than Raheem Morris. like against Andy Reid and Sean Payton. Okay, that's a push. Those are tough competitions as head coaches. But then later on, Gerard Mayo, like get the fuck out of here. Jim Harbaugh is going to destroy that kid.
I want to run something by you that a conversation that I had with a Chiefs fan on Reddit, and the reason why I want to bring this up is because part of the conversation is going to be relevant to the Chargers facing the Chiefs. So somebody had said, Ravens fan here, Chiefs offense has been decidedly mid and the team is undefeated. Favoritism aside, if Mahomes gets it together even slightly, this team is unbeatable by the rest of this year's field. My response to that was, LOL, just wait till Pacheco gets back. So then a Kansas City fan came in and said, I love Pacheco. We'll be glad to have him back, but he's not going to be transformative. What the team lacks is receiver depth, even after the trade for Nuke. If we lose Hopkins, Worthy, or Kelsey, this offense will grind to a halt. And my response to that was, Pacheco plus Hunt is even less reliance on Pat's not good passing and these not good receivers. Because Pat can play check down even more. The only person they can't afford to lose currently is Kelsey and Hunt. The rest are replaceable. Yeah. And so this guy says Pacheco and Hunt are essentially redundant to each other. But Casey doesn't play much 21 or 22 personnel. And even when they do, those two likely won't be on the field at the same time. And my response was, fresh legs at a quality level are good no matter what. Detroit kills the clock by being able to swap out Sonic for Knuckles and offenses thinking run versus pass. We haven't seen, and this is why it's relevant, we haven't seen the KC offense with both Pacheco and Hunt. And Andy is a quality coach who's going to use them well. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because that Kansas City game for the Chargers is December 8th. It's week 14. Pacheco is supposed to be back by the end of November, beginning of December. If Pacheco and Hunt are both together on this Kansas City team, I don't like that's to me is the key for the Kansas City to be able to one, go undefeated, and two, to win the Super Bowl again in three-peat. It's because
Yeah,
Hunt has looked so damn good while running the ball, and Pacheco is such an angry runner. They can just use him similarly to how Detroit uses Montgomery. And I don't know how many defenses are going to be able to stop this two-headed prong rushing attack. And what do
yeah.
you really need? Like, why does it matter if Worthy doesn't catch a ball, if Hopkins doesn't make a catch? I mean, even though Hopkins is
I
a
mean,
great target sponge,
who caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl?
what?
Who caught the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl? Nicole fucking Hardman.
Hardman.
Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Like,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. His receivers don't like. Yes, the receivers for Kansas City have been poor, but like I think people forget, like, because I think people forget how Andy Reid is as a head coach. They just look at like 2 years, the year McNabb had Terrell Owens, and then Mahomes' first MVP year, and they just think this is what Andy Reid wants to do. No, if you tell Andy Reid, you give him two running backs that are just gonna fucking pound the clock for him, and then he can just like dump it off to the tight end and run. This is what Andy Reid wants. This is like Andy Reid's looking at this and saying, I'm putting less pressure on my quarterback, like who's already under the most pressure because he's the best. People label him the best player in the league. He's not just the
right.
best quarterback in the league. He's the best overall player in the league. And you're helping him with this less pressure, with a revitalized Kareem Hunt. Like, let's face it, when he was
Like,
in
look how
Cleveland,
good. Look, like I get it because like the Lions have been playing absolutely gangbusters, and you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you've got Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams has been doing well, and Goff is a good quarterback. But look how much better Goff has been because they have had Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think that this helps the Chiefs out because then teams are going to just be focused on we got to stop this rushing attack. Even if Kareem Hunt barely touches the football after that, they're going to be focused on that. And then that leaves the Kelsey where he does the fake run block, and then he's just running a quick route, and then he catches the football. That leaves him wide open. That leaves a bunch of other options on offense because, like, look, I think the two running back system, it's back. Like, the teams that are like the teams that want to win, it's just like have two good running backs and let's work it out. Not every running back is going to be CMC where he can kind of do everything and play a lot of downs. I think teams are going to look at what the Lions and what the Chiefs are going to do this offseason and say, hey, if we can find two of these solid guys or find a guy that complements each other well and find low ego guys that are okay with sharing a backfield, it helps. Like it definitely helps when you can find that nice synergy where you have two guys that want to play with each other. Like Kareem Hunt, he's just happy that he got another shot at the NFL. He's happy to be back to the team that drafted him. They let him go because of that weird situation that happened that he caught on camera kicking his girlfriend or female acquaintance at the time. I don't know the whole situation. He went to the Browns. He was in a two running back situation there too with Nick Chubb, and they looked good for a little bit. And then afterwards, Hunt, he kind of just he didn't look the same. It looked like he, like most running backs, but he came back. He feels revitalized. He's running behind a really good offensive line led by Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and the other guard that's also a stud for the Chiefs. So it's like, yeah, like with Pacheco coming back, it's like one of those situations. It's a tough team to stop. It's going to be a tough team because Pacheco too. He's an underrated pass catcher as a running back. Like he's not. He has pretty solid hands too. He's not just like a straight power runner and stuff. Champy, you should rewind the video a little bit. I was saying Kyler Murray, dark horse MVP. Look at all this talk about the Chiefs. We didn't even need to talk about Texans Cowboys. Like Troy.
I'm putting the Texans down, but I think the only way that the Cowboys can win this game is.
What do you mean the only way?
There's the path.
Is the sun going to be just like too bright and see the Stroud's eyes or something? Like
I
think the sun's going to be down at that point. Like
the
sun.
In the beginning of that Eagles-Cowboys game, Micah Parsons was making a difference. Now, he could not sustain that over the entire course of the game because Cooper Rush is that fucking terrible. And Trey Lance is not better at all either.
Oh, God.
But
who's worse, Trey Lance or Mitchell Trubisky?
Trey Lance by far.
Oh, okay.
No, Trey Lance by far because you've barely seen the guy play, and every time he has played, it's been pretty terrible. But the only
How is this
reason
guy
I,
went number 3?
that's what I was gonna say. the only the only argument that somebody could make to that the Mitchell situation was worse, the Mitch Trubisky was worse, is because of the trade. However, San Francisco gave up a shitload to get Trey Lance in the first place. But
So between the three, if he flames out, I'm gonna give you a third guy.
Okay.
Who will end up being
Swear to
worse?
God, if you say Bo Nix, fucking
No. This guy also got drafted, I think, 3 or 4. Mitch, Richardson, or Trey Lance, who will have the worst career at the end?
Ooh.
You think Big Tony turns it around, or is
wait, the worst career at the end? Trey Lance.
At the end. Oh, Trey Lance? Okay.
Oh, Trey Lance.
So
that's too easy. That's too easy.
Do you think Richardson will have a better career than Trubisky?
No.
Oh.
No.
What the hell? I guess I was once a Trubisky-holic. I'm now a Richardson-holic. Let's go. I believe.
Well, here's the reason why. I'll tell you why. Give me 1 second. I just got to pull a little bit of information up. Because Mitch Trubisky, while he was not a great quarterback, he was able to get the Bears to the playoffs. Now, a lot of that was because of the defense. Don't get me wrong. But he played great situational football to either get them like a field goal when they needed, that was what they needed to win, those kind of things. And my problem with Anthony Richardson is if he does not make spectacular throws, his throwing is terrible. And all he has is spectacular throws or running the ball. And the problem is that when he runs the ball, he's opening himself up to those hits. And one hit is all it takes to knock him out of the game. I've already seen the guy pull himself from a game because he was tired.
He's no Jalen Milroe, that's for sure.
What?
He's no Jalen Milroe, that's for sure.
But like that's the problem.
I'm on my Milroe. I can't wait till he gets drafted to a team that I hate.
That's the problem of Mitch Trubisky versus Anthony Richardson, because that's the other thing. When they lose that playoff game to the Eagles, it's because of the double doink.
That was Mitch's best game too.
But that's what I'm saying. If Cody Parkey hits the kick and it's not a double doink, they're advancing in the playoffs. And then Mitch Trubisky has won a playoff game. So it's like I have another QB question, but I want to get this to the Texans and the Cowboys. Oh yeah,
real quick.
So
because I don't even want to talk about the Cowboys. They suck. I want to ask about the Texans.
All I'm saying is if Micah Parsons can force a turnover that gets returned for a touchdown, the Cowboys have a weird way of potentially winning the game. That's all I'm trying to say.
Not happening.
Right.
Texans. Is CJ Stroud getting into the term for most fans as one of the most overrated players in the league?
So I don't know if I would say overrated.
Is he getting closer? Sometimes when the quarterbacks they're not playing to the level that they expected.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I'm not saying he's overrated. But so CJ Stroud
CJ Stroud is in a tough spot, and it's a problem of his own doing, which in a way is a great problem to have. He is put up one of the best rookie season a quarterback has ever put up. And the problem is that people are holding him to that standard, and regression was going to happen. Now you can make an argument that they addressed that situation by getting him Stephon Diggs. They're like, we're going to get you another target. We're also going to draft the guy that your tight end from college. We're going to get you everything we're going to get you Joe Mixon to replace Devin Singletary, which is an automatic upgrade. But like, he was not going to be able to get the stats that he did last year. It just was not going to happen. Now, the question is, should he be playing as poorly? It's weird because I can't even say poorly because he's not playing terrible. That's the thing. Like, it's not playing, but it's starting to come across as though he needs those players. And I've said this many times. The benchmark of a franchise quarterback is being able to take players that are either not good or mid-level and elevate them. And I'm seeing with Stroud that if he doesn't have the Nico Collins and he doesn't have Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, he is not able to elevate Tank Dell to the point that Tank Dell is game wrecking, is becoming a game wrecking wide receiver. Now, again, in Stroud's defense, I'm doing a lot of defense for the guy, but like in Stroud's defense, Tank Dell is a 5'9", 165-pound wide receiver. He's not supposed to be a game wrecking wide receiver continually. He's not an Amon-Ra St. Brown. But at the same time, Tank Dell's gift is downfield passes. His gift is getting into space and then run after catch. And my problem with Stroud is because like Stroud is 7th right now in passing. That's what's crazy. He's 7th in passing. But we're not seeing the touchdowns. We're not seeing the touchdowns that should be going along with that. Because if you look at every other quarterback that's in the top 10, so Burrow is leading the league in yardage and he has 24 touchdowns. Lamar, 2nd, 24 touchdowns. Kirk, 3rd, 17 touchdowns. Geno, 4th, 11 touchdowns. And we're saying Geno's not playing well. Geno's also leading the league in interceptions, but okay. Baker, 5th, 24 touchdowns. Brock Purdy, 6th, 12 touchdowns. CJ Stroud, 7th, 12 touchdowns. Josh Allen, 8th, 17 touchdowns. So when I'm saying 8th and 9th, I'm talking about yardage first and then touchdowns. Stafford, 9th, 9 touchdowns. Rodgers, 10th, 15 touchdowns. Stafford didn't have Puka and Kupp for pretty much the entire
season. They were relying on Williams mostly when they got to
the
red zone.
Brock Purdy has missed Debo, then Ayuk, then Debo and Ayuk.
Yeah, he hasn't had the full team.
And CMC. He's missed all of that.
Agreed.
Baker Mayfield has not had Evans and Godwin now for I think 2, maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks,
Yeah. Geno didn't have DK Metcalf. But what's the common thread with all of these guys is the quarterbacks that we all would say have either been struggling, not playing well, et cetera, they all have bad touchdowns. Geno, Brock have not had high touchdowns. Stroud is in that same level. So if we are going to say, it's particularly in the case of Brock Purdy, that Purdy is the sum of his parts and that Purdy needs the supporting cast and that Purdy is not a good quarterback if he doesn't have Debo and Ayuk and all, we should be saying the same thing about CJ Stroud. That's, I think, the argument that if anybody's going to make, if somebody's going to say that Stroud is overrated or whatever, I'm not saying necessarily that he's overrated. I'm saying if people are also going to make that argument, people are also going to make that
he's trending to.
If people are also going to make that argument about Purdy, that Purdy is the sum of his parts and needs the supporting cast and he's not a good quarterback, then technically that should also apply to CJ Stroud. I personally wouldn't say that Stroud's overrated. I would say that he's been hampered by offensive line injuries or not playing well, and he's been hampered by the fact that Nico and Stephon aren't there. But the difference is that Stroud can't elevate the other players. Where I have seen Brock Purdy take whatever is left from the Niners Niners squad and win games. I have seen Brock Purdy do that. I have not seen Stroud do that to the point that I believe that Stroud is getting away from some of those complaints. So I actually would agree with some of the people that are saying he's trending towards overrated. But I don't know if I would say he's overrated.
I just because I knew there was not much to talk about this Texans Cowboys game because there's really not much. So I wanted to ask, like, does Stroud is he trending towards there? Because I've seen some people kind of turn on the precious CJ Stroud hype.
Yeah, I mean, stuff,
he's no Herbert, because I get it with Herbert. No, okay. Herbert has 11 touchdowns and he's throwing to a bunch of idiots. Like, let's be real here. Like, 11 touchdowns is pretty good for this receiving. Like, he's throwing it to Ladd McConkey, who is a rookie, and then Quentin Johnson, who looked like an all-time bust last year, and Joshua Palmer. Will Dissly doesn't have a touchdown. I don't even know who else. Simi Fehoko, Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Jalen Rager is running routes for the Chargers at this point too. Kamani Vidal, like I'm just saying, like, do you feel Stroud would put up 11 touchdowns if I give you the receiving core that Herbert has? Like give
No, no,
Stroud,
no, I wouldn't.
put Stroud on the Chargers with that good offensive line, but he's throwing to these cast
No,
of
I think
characters.
honestly, I think that a big reason why the Texans have won the games that they've won is because of Joe Mixon,
Yeah,
not CJ Stroud.
and you would think, like, with Joe Mixon doing what he does in the run game, it would open up the play action, but there's no,
It
it's not
should.
really working. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's something missing. Like, there's definitely something missing with CJ Stroud. Like, I like him a lot. Like,
Like
I don't think he's overrated.
Mixon's played now 7 games and he has 655 yards. So he's
Yeah.
almost averaging 100 yards per game.
Oh,
That's
he's
ridiculous.
phenomenal. Yeah, no,
That's
he's
ridiculous.
great. He's absolutely great. Yeah. No, I just want to know, like, if Stroud goes there, throw Stroud on the Chargers. See if he can throw to Joshua Palmer and Quentin Johnston and Lad McConkey and Will
Yeah,
Disley.
it's like that,
I don't
and
think he
that's
gets 11. I don't think he gets 11 touchdowns. I don't think
well.
Herbert
See,
has more.
that's to me, that's the benchmark of a franchise quarterback, and that's
Yeah.
why like people have been either shitting on or saying he was overdrafted, Bo Nix. But what I'm seeing is Bo Nix literally only has Cortland Sutton. He's got a 4th-round rookie wide receiver in Troy Franklin, who okay, yeah, they played in college together,
And then
and he's got
And
a
then
seventh
Vele.
round. He's got a 7th-round rookie in Devon Vele, and then he's got a guy who's getting shot while he's on IR because he went to the strip club.
I mean,
That's what
Nix
he
has
has to
10.
work with.
He has 10 touchdowns. I mean, that's really good.
No, not
And then
only does he
we're not.
his total.
No, we're not counting his rushing. We're not
Oh,
counting
okay.
his rushing and receiving
I was
yet.
going to say
Yeah,
because
but
I am.
passing wise, he has 10, and the interceptions really were just like his first 2 games that were the terrible interceptions.
Yeah.
Because
Like
the Ravens one was a tip pass.
Yeah.
And then the one against the Chargers, that was also a tip pass. Yeah, that was a tip pass as well. Yeah. Yeah. So like, besides the first 2 weeks where he where the commentator was like, "Oh no," where he let go of the ball, and that was his first game. He's been clean with the football.
Because if you think about it, so CJ Stroud's at 148 yards rushing, 0 touchdowns, and he's at what? Hold on, 2,371 passing yards. So total is about 2,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Meanwhile, from a scrimmage standpoint, Bo is 2,230 yards, 15 total touchdowns because he also caught one, and 6 interceptions. Like, if you give Bo Tank Dell instead of Josh Reynolds or Troy
Bailey, yeah,
this shit's ridiculous. And let's not forget, Dalton Schultz is not a bad tight end. Like, he's not an upper. He's not like a top 5 tight end. He's not like a Sam Laporta.
Well, they paid him like he was going to be one.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's not a slouch when it comes to tight ends. Meanwhile, Bo's got a fucking blocking tight end. You've got a blocking tight end. Will Disley is. I mean, he's a more of a possession tight end, but he's not like this vertical threat tight end in any way, shape, or form. So it's a very interesting situation. I can tell that, and I was saying this to some friends of mine because they were talking about in one of the dynasty leagues trading Tank Dell and what the cost would be. And I was saying to them, I know that Houston does not believe in Tank Dell to be the wide receiver 2 because they got Stephon Diggs. If you believed in Tank Dell, you wouldn't need Stephon Diggs. You would have gotten a different wide receiver to be wide receiver 3. But you don't believe in Tank Dell because you wanted to make sure that you had Stephon Diggs in case anything happened to Tank or Nico. Now you don't have either of them. I mean, Nico should be back this game, but like, man, it's by the way, because I've been keeping track of this for fun purposes. You wanna see this? This is hilarious, actually. Hold on, let me pull this up. I gotta stop this, and then I can only share one that sucks.
Sorry, Cowboys fans. We're just you're in the Panthers tier. We won't talk about you. And the
But
Panthers found. Did you see the Panthers? They have like 3 rookie receivers. They're all just idiots. Like Leggett,
yes, yes,
Coker, and
yes.
who's the other one? I don't even know who this guy is. Like they're just throwing to a bunch of. I like this strategy. It sounds like something I would do in Madden. They're just like, we stink. Let's just
All right. So
Jalen Coker.
This is a spreadsheet. It's 2-part spreadsheet. The first is tracking Jetta's CD, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Tyreek Hill, because I put them down for 1,000 yards for the season, which it's going to be tough for Tyreek to pull it off. But the other part of the spreadsheet is tracking Caleb, Jaden, and Bo, and look at the comparison.
Where's my dog?
What?
Where's Drake May?
He wasn't playing, but look at this.
No, you gotta put him on this list.
I mean, maybe I'll expand it.
Yeah,
look at this. Look at this comparison.
Put Penix on there too.
Okay, stop it.
What? What did Penix do?
Not play.
He threw a little bit. Come on.
But
yeah, Caleb has not looked good.
Bo now has a better pass completion percentage than Caleb. I mean, it's by like 1%, but shit, it's better.
Dude, honestly, let's just be honest. Caleb's probably having a worse rookie season than Bryce Young did. Bryce Young didn't really have much to work with. Caleb Williams has everything to work with.
He really didn't.
Like Bryce Young didn't have much to work with, and Bryce Young. And let's be honest too. Bryce Young is shorter. Doesn't have the arm strength that Caleb Williams has. Doesn't have the intangibles that Caleb.
Wait a minute. You're trying to tell me that Adam Thielen isn't the same as DJ Moore and Keenan Allen?
Definitely not the same. Adam fucking dude. No, Bryce Young's 5'9" on a good day. His arm strength's whatever. I mean, he looked good in Germany. Maybe they should just let the Panthers stay in Germany. Maybe that could be Bryce Young's place.
Let Bryce be Bryce. But yeah, I mean, look at this. Yeah. Look at this comparison. Like it's and you know what the crazy thing is in Jaden's defense, he technically played that Panthers game, but he didn't finish the game. And here's the thing, Jaden and Bo have not had their bye week yet, and Caleb has. So I will give a little bit of credence to Caleb being like lower when it comes to either passing yards or whatever, because he has already had.
That's horrible. He's only at 15. He's only at 1568. That's bad.
Yeah. It's not good.
Yeah, he's not moving the ball at all. And look, because when you look at the attempts, let's be real, Bo's attempts are mostly because the Broncos have been playing down, so he's had to throw the football, but that completion percentage is pretty good. He's efficient with the ball. At least interceptions have been.
Let me update this because I think I don't have Caleb's most recent game added in here. Yeah, I don't.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, and it doesn't even make it better.
Still not that much better.
What did that do? Yeah, it's still not. What the fuck is that? Oh, God.
Yeah.
I made it worse.
His completion percentage got worse. Yeah.
He didn't run this game?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, man. He did. You know, I'll give. Let me give credit where credit is due. 40, and now this is 236. There. Oh, so he's crossed 2,000 in scrimmage.
Yeah.
So at least it looks a little bit better compared to Bo, because Caleb has had the bye week. But you are still throwing to Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole.
You have 8 turnovers overall. That's not good.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this situation. Jaden Daniels on a team where it's offensive line pretty decent. You know, they have that really good left guard Cosme. He's really good. But the rest of the offensive line still kind of question marks. Bo Nix has, when healthy, a pretty solid offensive line.
Yeah.
But he's not throwing to fucking anyone, like you said. And then Jaden Daniels, he does have Terry, which is good. And Zacchaeus and De'Ami Brown and Noah Brown have stepped up. What's De'Ami's last name? Is it not De'Ami Brown?
No, I'm saying De'Ami
Yeah.
Brown, but also Noah Brown. They have the same last name.
I was all like, does he have a different last name? I've been calling you
No,
wrong. I mean, I'm on Rosh to know. I'm on Rosh to know that guy. He got drafted over him. Um, he's on the list. I'm on Raw's list and stuff. But yeah, like I don't know. It's just these stats are just look horrible for Caleb because it's just like he should be clearing these two by
everybody.
miles. Yeah,
I'm,
like
so like him. He's a generational talent, and he has all those pieces around him.
yeah, because even with the bad offensive line, you still have really good receivers, and you have a really good starting running back and a good backup.
Yeah.
And out of all the two that we talked about, Jaden, sure, Zach Ertz, he's no longer the same. You talked about the tight end situation.
Okay, but here's the thing. Hold on a second. Here's the thing. Zach Ertz, not being as good as he was, is still the best, you could argue, tight end from a possession and just getting first downs. You would say, I could make an argument that he's better than Cole Kmet at that, because Kmet's a vertical threat tight end and Ertz is a possession receiver, so possession tight end. So for the role that they need to play in the offense, the other aspect of it is that they're not even throwing to Cole Kmet.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but Caleb has a really good tight end, and that should be like any rookie quarterback abuses their tight end. Like, I don't know how many teams just don't look at what the Chiefs are doing and be like, oh man, why is Mahomes so good? Oh, duh, he's throwing to a Hall of Fame tight end. Why don't you guys figure out how to use your tight end? And then it opens up everything else. Like I'm just being honest. Like, look at some of the top teams in the NFL and their history and stuff like that. A lot of them just had that stud tight end and stuff.
That's
like
why
look at the Patriots with Gronk. And it's just like one of those things where,
that's why
I get it. The tight end's not going to get 1,000 yards and all that other shit. Like most of the time, it's like 750, 900. That's good receiving stats for a tight end. But it's like, I don't know how you have a Cole Kmet and you are just refusing to like use him, because I think this would make that percentage much better for Caleb Williams. Like
in every single dynasty that I am in, I picked up in the rookie draft either Stover or Ben Sinnott, because I'm like, that's going to be the guy for either Stover's going to be CJ Stroud's guy after Dalton Schultz is gone, or Sinnott's going to be the guy for when Ertz is gone. Granted, Ertz is much closer to his way out than Dalton Schultz, but like the rookies love tight end, like their tight ends. Like that's a key. When who was it? When they drafted when they drafted Bo Nix, I was like, okay, well, if Dulcich works out, if he stays healthy, he should be really good. And he couldn't stay healthy. And Trotman is just not a great tight end. So it's like, okay, well, now Bo has one less person to throw to. But yeah, this is and I'm keeping track of this just because of obviously Denver with the rookie quarterback situation. But it's an interesting situation for them to be in. I don't really know what the fix is for the Bears, because it's just one of those things where it's like, what are you supposed to be doing if you don't have people who are going to be able to make these plays for the team when they need them to? Because it's like, I don't know what Caleb's supposed to do. But guys, this is our pick'ems for week 11. Let us know in the comments where you think we're wrong. As you saw at the beginning, we have a pretty good track record. I think I'm around. Well, the first couple weeks did not do well, but I think we're both pretty good. We're both over 50% on our picks, and recently we both were trending upwards. But let us know in the comments what you guys think of our picks, and we'll be back to let you know how we did for sure when we get to week 12, and we know, because man, that Bengals Chargers game. Now that I think about it, now that we were talking about the wild card stuff and everything like that, that game has huge implications.
Oh yeah, for both
absolutely
teams.
Huge implications.
Yeah,
and that Bills Chiefs game, because if you think about it, if the Bills, just hear me out, if the Bills manage to beat the Chiefs, just hear me out.
If the Bills beat the Chiefs, you lost me there. You lost me there.
if the Bills manage to beat the Chiefs, and for whatever reason, Kansas City drops another one of these games, and the Bills win out, the Bills are the number 1 seed. And let's not forget the Ravens still exist, which, I mean, granted, they have to overachieve because of that loss in week 1. But, man, AFC is super intriguing. The NFC is a little bit less, even though it's wide open, it's a little bit less intriguing because you kind of know it's going to be Lions, Vikings, maybe the Packers. Like, you already know 3 of those spots, 3 of the 7 spots are going there. You know that it's probably going to be either Arizona or the Niners taking the West. The NFC East, it's Chargers or Commanders or Eagles. So that leaves one of the other teams is the one of the other wild card spots. So now we've already taken care of it's a little bit neck and neck for like the last wild card spot. That's really what the race is. Whereas the AFC
is like
soup. Like it's a free for all. It's a war right now.
Yeah, like the NFC, it's like we know the Vikings and the Commanders or Eagles. Those teams are for sure wild cards. The rest are just kind of like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And then in the AFC side of things, it's Chargers, Colts, Bengals, and Broncos and Steelers/Ravens. Those are those are the teams. Yeah. Like we can already lock up unless like something disastrous happens to Steelers or Ravens. One of those teams are the wild card, but those last 2 spots are going to be a battle between those 4 teams for sure, and they all play each other. The Chargers don't play the Colts, but they all kind of play each other for the most part. And those could be tiebreaker implications, like because if the Chargers lose to the Bengals, then they have to go to the freaking Ravens, who could potentially be the top wild card seed team, and those are 2 wild card teams you're going to lose, and that could be a must-win game for the Chargers if they want to make the playoffs. They're playing with house money though with Jim Harbaugh, so it's like one of those scenes where it's like, hey, let's just see this team.
Isn't that a beautiful feeling for both of us? Like, even the Broncos are playing with house money because if they make the playoffs, amazing. If they don't make the playoffs and they're super close, it's like, well, Bo Nix did something awesome, and Peyton, it's just going to build for next year. Either way,
exactly. Exactly. That's how I am. It's just like, look, like, do I think Jim Harbaugh is one of those coaches? If you get him in the playoffs, he can make an improbable run. Yeah, because people need to remember when he took over San Francisco, that was not a good fucking team.
No,
he took them over and then made them into the team that they became and stuff. And so that's why, like, I'm always like, that's why I believe in Harbaugh, because I'm just like, look, if he takes us to the, and that's why my friends are kind of like, Chase, Harbaugh could actually like take you guys deep in the playoffs, and I'm just keeping it even keeled. I'm just like, I could see it, I can't, but who's got it better than us? Nobody. Yeah, just say that. It works all the time.
And if you think about it, like if you get into like the kind of the nitty gritty of it, you could argue that the Jim Harbaugh Niners, like when he left, that's kind of what Kyle Shanahan inherited, because there was 1 year of Jim Tomsula, 1 year of Chip Kelly, and then Shanahan.
Jim Tomsula. God. was he still in the league, Jim Tomsula? Like, he can't be.
That's a good question.
I want to know this guy.
He is the head coach of the Rhine Fire of the European League of Football.
Okay, good. He deserves that, Jim Tomsula. Where's my boy? Do you remember Ben McAdoo? Where's he at?
Yeah, I think I want to say off the top of my head he has something to do with the.
He's probably coaching some college team.
He is currently serving as the senior offensive assistant of the New England Patriots. I was going to say that something made me want to say Texans, but no, he's with the Patriots.
I always remember there was that one picture where he looked like he took a shit, and I was just like, damn, dude. My boy had some bad Chipotle. Yeah, well, he's not clogging toilets like my boy Rizzo, whatever his name. I don't know his name.
You're confusing him with Anthony.
He just reminds me of Basaccia. Oh man, dude. Hey, Rizza, you're gonna win me a lot of money. Now you're gonna go into the Rich Bisaccia Hall of Fame. I call that the interim coach Hall of Fame, where you have no business to help me win money, but you're winning money.
But alrighty, guys. Remember
Oh
to
my
let us
god, they
know.
both had Derek Carr as their quarterback too. That's the
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
part. Bisaccia
Wait, you know what else is
and
crazy?
Rizza.
You know what else is crazy? Derek Carr has gotten Dennis Allen fired twice.
Yeah, twice. Yeah,
Crazy.
tough. You
Until
like it.
next time, guys.
I don't
Chase,
blame you, Derek Carr. He stinks.
Chase, let the people know where they can find you, sir.
You guys can follow me on X at ChaseLauer68, Around the Point Network. Sometimes I'm on there talking about the good old professional wrestling with Steve and Walter, and sometimes Big Mike when he comes on. And sometimes Romeo pops up. And then sometimes when Romeo's too depressed about something, he didn't win in gambling or he stayed up too late, SP3 calls me and I will review Monday Night Raw with SP3. But I've been busy, so time slots have not lined up with that. So
And guys, you can always catch me here on True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment. We did get back into our watch along ways when it comes to football. We did Sunday Night Football. I'm going to see what Romeo's schedule is looking like for the rest of the week to see what we can do there. I think he wants to do Mike Tyson and Logan Paul. But don't hold me to that one. I have to talk to him about that.
that's going to be a depressing fight. I can't.
But there is silver lining. There is UFC on Saturday. Jon Jones,
Yeah,
Stipe.
I'm going to a movie theater to watch that one. It's
Nice.
yeah. They're showing in the movie theater, so I said, oh, you know what? Get some peanut M&M, some popcorn. Watch the greatest of all time. Jon Jones beat up an old man. Sign me up. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, man. It's not going to be a good weekend for people over 40. That's for sure.
You don't got Stipe having a chance.
What chance? He has no. He hasn't fought since fucking the pandemic. Like John, like I'm sorry. Like Stipe is the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time in UFC history. He hasn't been active. Like if you fought one of these, if you spot one of these killers like Aspinall or Pavlich or whatever his last name is, or Cyril Gone, I would maybe give him a chance. But he hasn't fought since freaking the end of the pandemic. He lost in Ngannou and he got killed. It wasn't even like a competitive fight. Like he couldn't do anything against Ngannou. He's so slow now. Like he's slow. He's old. He's been mostly a firefighter this past 2 years. Like you're gonna tell me a firefighter is gonna beat a guy that has dogs that can kill people and he shoots guns and Jon Jones at least been training. He's been hitting.
Doesn't that make the story that much better if he does?
Yeah, he's not winning. There's no chance he's gonna win. Like
wait, hold on a second. Who's got a better chance of winning this weekend? Stipe or the Bills?
Stipe. The Bills aren't winning. It's the Chiefs. I can't choose against the Chiefs. Chiefs are like Jon Jones in this situation. They're gonna just find a way. Like look, I'm gonna be depressed on Friday because Jake Paul is gonna beat Mike Tyson, and then one of the greatest boxers of all time is gonna lose to a Vine creator and YouTube person because he's fucking 50 years old and he has no business being in a boxing ring with 14-ounce gloves and a stupid boxing rule set that I cannot believe they're making a professional fight. Then I'm going to be really happy when Jon Jones beats Stipe and then ignores Tom Aspinall and goes fights my dog Pereira. And then Sunday I'll be happy as I watch the Chargers live beat the Bengals. And then I don't know, like that'll be great. Friday night's gonna be the worst.
And then Monday you get to watch the Battle of Texas.
Yeah, I get to watch Troy Aikman's coming back. He's gonna be all like, hey, Joe, I know you guys need me in the booth, but Dallas called me and I'm gonna play quarterback. I can't be worse than Trey Lance. I would love. Could you just imagine if that's how we kick off Monday Night Football? It's like da, 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 and Joe Buck's like, now I know you're wondering why am I in the booth by myself? Well, look who's on the field.
Wait, no. You gotta do the I'm Joe Buck. He's the Hall of Wait.
He's the Hall. And normally I would say he's the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, but he's not in the booth. He is actually on the field, dressed up to play. He signed a one-day contract.
it's the perfect version of that. What if we unretired ad?
Yeah,
And then you see Troy Aikman there just getting
it's like
destroyed by Will Anderson.
some bad Disney Channel football or Hallmark or Disney Channel football movie that I
Oh,
just tune into, and it's like the quarterback
oh,
plays one last play to get certain stats and stuff. When's that Hallmark movie coming out with Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift?
I don't know. It should be coming out soon though.
Yeah, it's gonna another reason why the Chiefs are gonna win. Like, can't believe they're making this a Hallmark movie. Fuck them.
And
And
Andy Reid and
that's the one thing
Kelsey
I
said it.
love is Hallmark movies, and you're ruining it for me.
I love Hallmark movies. I love the
No, I
Christmas.
know. I
I have
love.
I
I
have
watch
a
them all the time.
Oh yeah, I actually have a not spreadsheet, but I have like an infographic of when all of them come out this season. I get them, and my wife and I watch them because she loves them, and I love Hallmark movies.
Yeah, Peacock. I use it for the Hallmark movies mostly because they go on the Peacock.
They
so the Hallmark movies, they're
Chase opens. You heard it here first. Chase opens up the Peacock app, and they tell him, "Would you like to watch Hell in a Cell 2011?" And he goes, "No, show me the newest Hallmark movie."
Yeah, they're pretty. They'll show something WWE related. I'm just like, I don't care about NXT Graveyard. Let me go watch Hallmark. Let me go watch my Christmas. Yeah, I've done some auditioning for some Hallmark movies. My goal in life, I want to do a Hallmark Christmas movie. I think I could play.
I'm being 100% honest here. I love Hallmark Christmas movies.
No, me too.
Being dead serious.
No, they're great. No, they're great. Like, I love all of them, but I think I could play either like not the love interest, but I could play like the girl. I could play like the older brother that's just like an idiot and stuff like that. I could play that role.
Little sidekick.
Yeah, I could play like the sidekick that just has a couple funny lines or something like that. Or I could play like the grouchy businessman that hates Christmas because his dad never liked it or something like that. And some girl I don't fall in love with the girl, but the girl makes me fall in love with Christmas. Makes me leave my.
You could be the boyfriend in the beginning, the one she breaks up with.
Oh, okay. Because I don't love Christmas, and then I leave my 6-figure job to open up a Christmas tree farm. And
look, why won't you open up this Christmas tree farm? And you're like, because I'm trying to live life.
Yeah, exactly. I could play those roles. I think I could play those roles. Look, I have the blue eyes; it will work perfectly. Just got to work on the smile a little bit, and then work on the acting chops. So I've done some auditions and stuff like. I came close to one that didn't go through, where it was actually like there was I was gonna play the cranky toy maker. Like, I was a toy maker and I hated Christmas because no one would buy my toys or something like that. Like that was my role in the movie. It wasn't like I was a major character, but I was always just cranky because like the girl would come into my shop to talk to me, but she wouldn't buy my toys and stuff like that. Like I was like, you could buy something every once in a while instead of just coming to me. Like literally, like my lines were just like, I should start charging you for this because you're not buying any of my merchandise. No one buys my merchandise. Like that was pretty much like my whole thing. Was like the girl would barge into my shop and then like talk to me about the boy she's in love with, and I'm just trying to make like a Pinocchio toy. And then like no, and then I would try to buy it, and then I guess at the end of the movie, like someone actually buys one of my toys, and my character smiles at the end because someone buys a toy finally from me, like my stupid little toy shop. But it was a minor role, like it wasn't like I was a major character. But it
sounds a lot like Josh Allen versus the Chiefs. He's hoping to reverse his fortunes. But guys, we want to thank you for tuning in once again. Until next time, remember, take care of yourselves and each other. We will catch you all after this. There are games that are going to be action-packed week 11. So until next time, we'll catch you all.